I am sure sports. You know me there, from coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get your sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me no know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you a go love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crapper players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick-Nick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices. Add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick-Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
That Sports for the best authentic sportswear. You check Wilton Sports when you want the best authentic sportswear. Wilton Sports. Food change advertising. And for roll out the numbers. Remember, no easy laugh, no off.
Some sports were for take notes. Them full of dreams and hopes. Then why them come and sell rope? When there is only one, yeah, there is only one goat. And that's a Wilson, yeah, that's a Wilson, yeah, that's a Wilson Sports. Yeah, ball boots, ball tops, ball shots, shin guard, ball socks. Them kind of drip you quick for make your ex call back. Little quickness in my boots and ball out, me want that. My Nike ticky pretty and my Adidas all black. Dribble down, you feel it, grip me feel me can't drop. Slide tackle all, me own a team and know this snap up. Why? Because I'm by the supper.
I hope I can't be seen enough because I'm camouflaging tonight, people. I hear there's threats being given out, so I don't want nobody come after me. So I do this on a cover tonight. Bless up Triple E, bless up Drew Ross. Don't mention my name in the chat because people may know it's me. All right, that's the me I hide. You're supposed to can't see. It's me guesting. I've never read an outfit yet ever before, so don't pretend you don't know me. Undercover, give me thing. Me said the Coaches Association persons who signed the affidavit. I couldn't do so because of threats. So undercover tonight. Bless up everyone. Bless up. Thanks for joining me. You'll have some fun tonight. This is the Kranky's Hour. It's not a regular event, but it's my second one, except my hour the last time. Oh, did I just mention my own name? I thought I was on the cover. I don't understand this. You know what? Let me take off this thing. Okay, now work for me. Now work. I thought I get hot too, people. I get hot. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. But good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Oh, my name is on the screen. Jason Guna. You see, me can't camouflage. Becoming like the Ricketts team, making bundles everywhere, bungling everything everywhere. Bless up, everyone, and thanks for joining. And welcome to the Kranky Hour. Jason, we need dark glasses. I need not to have any cranky thing. I need to have a lot of stuff, which Right now, the Rickett administration, the JFF, as currently constituted, do need that actually. But we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun because I have a lot to say. And by the way, management want to debate me about this. Want to debate him about this quota thing. I'm gonna bring up my own view tonight, people. I tell you, I've been thinking about it, and I was getting too emotional about this thing, because if I would just sit down and think, I would have the answer right away to fix the quota thing. We'll fix it tonight. I'll give you an idea to fix it. But I just listened to half of the discussion between Sportsmax and Cameron, the man who's known for running West Indies cricket in the ground. Oh, did I say that? Let me give the benefit of the doubt. The man is making West Indies cricket not something we all want to watch anymore. He's done a brilliant job, and he's now part of the opposition. And when I say these things, don't take it that I'm saying that I support the JFF, because you guys know I have my view on the JFF. So we're in trouble. Opposition don't work. The least qualified person on the opposition is the running for president on the opposition. You try to figure that out, because normally you want good people around you, but you can't be the least qualified person. But we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about what we want to talk about tonight, which is more around the situation with the JFF, where the election, which was supposed to occur this Sunday at one of my alma mater, which is Russie's High School, has been, I'm going to say, postponed indefinitely, because I know that February is the date, given the injunction that was filed by the supposed Beach Football Association. The judge has come back and said it's late February. At least they postpone until late February. I'm sure both parties will bring their attorneys and make their case as to why the election should go ahead, or whether or not the Beach Soccer Association should be part of affiliate of the JFF. So we'll see how that works. But I'm gonna recognize people first, and we're gonna get into the discussion, because this is a fun one. And by the way, let me just say this before I go into recognizing people on the chat, which is if you are a YouTuber, if you are a traditional media, you may have an interest in Jamaica's football and are concerned about what's happening. But if you think about it, you are getting free material after material after material because of these bungling two organizations. And I made an analogy on Minzy's program, which is this. If you look at when Trump was president, you know why I said this to you? I never really watched CNN until Trump was in office, because there's drama every single day. When Trump left office, CNN's ratings went down significantly. Their viewership went down significantly. You know why? Because there's no drama. There's a little bit of drama. Biden is not a drama president. So drama, people love the drama. And Jamaicans, and there's some YouTube channels run by Jamaicans who are drama kings. Their channel get a lot of viewership because they're in the drama business. Drama after drama, and they love the drama. So we have it with a drama tonight. So Drew Ross, thanks again for being here. Triple E, Damian, Jason Guna as usual. Mr. United, Kyle. Kyle said least qualified as opposed to Kyle. We can't debate, but me, I have the control tonight. So whenever you come up with, me, I'll come back at you. I'll tell you this tonight. So we're ready for the talk. Champ, they said, Kranky, stop them talk. Let me put up your comment, Kranky. Kranky, stop them talk there. Dave make young cricket player could have get P and stay in a cricket. Champ, I don't know how old you are, but I'm very seasoned. And I watched West Indies cricket from the 70s through now. They've run it into the ground. That's why it's obsolete now. Nobody now watch cricket. Nobody don't care anymore. And so you may be in his side, on his team. He's eloquent. He's very, very smart. Watch him on Sportsmax. He's like a Teflon Don. Nothing sticks. So I can see him in a room. And by the way, you think about this. He was the person they brought in as mediator. The JFF hired as mediator to help them when the Reggae Boys were striking before they went to Austria. Really interesting. Somebody you paid, you engaged as a confidant, and knows everything about you, now turn against you, including Anderson. It's amazing how many people were part of the JFF have now pulled out and are the opposition. So it's left hand and right hand, as I've said before. There's no difference between all of them. They're all the same. Even Cameron, who's not part of the organization and ran cricket, was affiliated with the organization as a mediator. And now he's running for the opposition. So interesting. But we'll talk about some things tonight which are interesting, which is how the opposition has operated and why I view them to be Trump-like. And I'll explain why that's the case. Because they're very Trump-like in some respects. And by the way, do not come here talking about Kranky, you're part of JFF, you support the JFF, because that's not the case. And most of you guys know this. I'm on nobody's side. I'm on the side of right. I'm on the side of objectivity. I'm on the side of transparency. I'm on the side of know-how. I'm on the side of critical thinking. I'm on the side of deductive reasoning. I'm on the side of the football, and I want the football to do well. So if you don't come with your thing about Kranky, you support the JFF, or Kranky, you do this, nobody will do it tonight. We're into talking about the facts, give my opinion, and nothing wrong with you giving your opinion, but don't pull me into this thing about Kranky, you support the JFF, because I'm not supporting anybody. You know what? As I said before, if Anderson's team win, it doesn't really matter. I'm supporting the football. Except for, I mentioned before, if we don't change the quota system, I'm not watching any under 20 football. I'm just not. But I have a solution for that too. I'll come up with that. So let's go from the beginning. And let me just recognize some more people first before I do that. See, Trevor says, Kranky, but the man with balance, perspective on football matters. Yeah, Travis, I try. This is Kyle again. The opposition is Trump-like, and the incumbent is what? I'm just telling you what I see. Maybe the current administration is dictatorial or a monopoly, because they set this up to win. And by the way, Kyle, the president of the opposition was part of the community and the group that constructed this constitution, which when Neo and others reached out for it, they pulled it away to hide it. And Anderson, the same Anderson you guys are supporting, was part of that group. Same JFF. He just sees an opportunity. He sees power. He sees money. He sees opportunity, and he wants to take advantage of it. That's my view. So you can have your view of him, Carl, because you don't like the JFF. I don't support either party. I think there should be an independent third party can run the football. And normalization, to me, may not be the worst thing. Now, the question is FIFA about normalization, or is FIFA about suspension/expulsion? The latter, I'm not with. I can live with normalization. I love my Jamaican football. I don't want to see the latter. And if all these litigations result in that, then those people who are part of that group need to take responsibility. So Damien Hilton says, the president said the judge gave JFF the option to accept beach soccer as an affiliate or the 28J injunction. He chose the latter. Why do you think that if you can't lose the election? Well, both parties said they can't lose the election, Damien. So let's be objective here. They both say they can't lose. But why would you give up something that you think is owed to you? Because the worst thing you can do in going to an election, and you see this polling happening all the time, right? People poll who, or say where, you don't know who coming with last minute, how would I call them, gifts to change one vote. So you got to make sure you have as much vote as possible. You can never have enough votes. So why would you give that up if you think they didn't satisfy the regulations or the rules, right? If you think so, why you give that up? Upbeat is saying the one vote from the beach football cannot swing the election. It just to say if I can't win, I will mash up your everything. That's one perspective, Upbeat. So let me touch upon that. So Dave Cameron says, the Beach Soccer Association is not affiliated with them. They didn't bring the lawsuit. It was the person who ran it, I forgot her name. What's her name? Gloria something, whatever her name is. She brought the lawsuit. But people, Dave's team, and I said this to Neil the other night, maybe I've been here on coach's desk. Whenever lawyers get involved, it changed the ball game. It changes everything. If you watch Premier League football and you watch a situation with Man City, who's been charged with so many breaches, they have hired the best lawyers, paid them exorbitantly, and they'll keep you in court until you know what happens, until kingdom come. That's what they're doing with the EPL. So even they have found breaches for the last 10, 15 years since they came to existence, They have fought every single one. They will find delaying tactics for as long as possible, because lawyers do, and they won't give up until they win. And let me draw a conclusion what I've seen with Dave's team or Raymond's team. The reason why I say they're Trump-like, and I'll jump to this, is this. It appears they have come up with 6 or 7 reasons as to why things are not appropriate or inappropriate related to the election. And what they are basically saying, from what I heard, and I listened to Dave Cameron's interview, if the committee doesn't accept what I put forward, or basically in summary, if I don't win, then it's not a fair election. But if I win, it's all fine. And we'll talk about some of these things. I'm trying to find the communication here. But if I win, it's all good. Everything is fine. If I don't win, all these matters you didn't consider. And if you consider them and says no, I'm gonna go to the appeals court. And the appeals process. If the appeals process says not right, then I'm gonna go to the courts. So I will never accept losing. That's why I say it's Trump-like, which is what Trump basically says is, before the election, if I lose, it's unfair and it's rigged. But if I win, it's all good. So I can't lose. And the courts are there. So let me go back to the old beach soccer situation, which is, she has filed the injunction, but they have disavowed that she's part of the organization. And the reason they're disavowing this is, if the JFF says she's not an affiliate, therefore she's not a part of the JFF organization, and therefore FIFA can't come and say, well, you're part of the JFF as an affiliate or a club or an association. So therefore, I'm like a private citizen taking them to court about being treated unfairly because I'm not affiliated. I am voting to be affiliated, so I can't be held to FIFA standards. That's what they're saying. A really interesting argument, because if you then get the affiliation status, haven't you then violated the FIFA rule because you are now an affiliate who took the organization to court? Or are you going to say, well, I was an affiliate then, so now I'm an affiliate, the court case is settled, I haven't taken him to court as an affiliate, I took the court as a private citizen. Interesting way of reasoning. I will say how that works itself out. But I think that's their basis. That's why you see Raymond's team is bending over backwards to say that the group or the Beach Soccer Association, that was the initial registered, not the more recent one, was not affiliated with them. So if they make that case and win that case, they can say, FIFA, you can't expel us, because FIFA's rule would be you can't be part of FIFA organization if your organization take us to court. So they're saying they're not affiliated with that that group. And that group now wins the argument that they should be affiliated. It'd be interesting as to who they vote for, since you have no linkage with them. And the question the JFF should be asking is there some conflict there? Is some engagement there? And they should get good lawyers to then fight some of these things. But I get the sense they don't have very good lawyers for the JFF, but they have no lawyers at all. The lawyers cost money. And I asked me the question, who's funding this other group? Who is providing the financial resources for them to be able to have all the, operating the way they do? Somebody's funding them. The JFF can use JFF funds. Where is Raymond's funds coming from? Really interesting. Maybe they have sponsorship already and not even power yet. And who have they promised what? But it's really interesting argument, really interesting situation, and one which is a lot of drama, but YouTubers should love the drama. So long as the drama works out to be we're still playing football in March and June, I can live with the drama. So long as it's not going to upset the apple cart, or doesn't preclude the administration from making the right preparation for the team. And frankly, if the election is not until subsequent to the 28th, then it's going to be a cascading event. Everything's going to be a mess. The JFF is going to be distracted about the situation and trying to resolve it and trying to fix it and going to the courts. They'll not be focused on the team for the Nations League and or for the Gold Cup. That's why it's unfortunate from that perspective. Now, if you go through the list of grievances, and I'm trying to remember them, so here, Prince is saying, so you support Mr. Wickets, you mean Ricketts, and the team in taking whatever risk they need to take to win as well. In politics, as they call it, or in any situation, both parties are going to put themselves in the best position to win. You know, when you go for Africa, for example, they may have cool if they don't win, or you know, people go to extremes to win. But both parties want to win, and part of the reason why they want to win are the benefits to be derived from winning. There's some individuals, I call them licky, just being part of the train, because there's a trickle-down effect on those trains. You hear of all the money that Adidas can provide to the JFF. You hear of the money coming through FIFA. You hear of other sponsorship. You see money coming through Copa America and through Nations League. So there's going to be money there. And we know how people are. When I say licky, you know what that means. They want to be part of the action because they see the benefits to be derived. That is not even debatable. All we want as fans is to have, as somebody called it, caviar football, even though, as they said, us fans are the bun and cheese organization. We operating as bun and cheese, but we want caviar. Well, we are getting caviar football now, being in Nations League semifinal and also being at the Gold Cup. But we don't have a caviar type and champagne, even I don't drink, administration, nor fans, frankly, because we have not been supporting the team in person, even though we do so in other means. So in essence, no, I'm not supporting Ricketts. What I'm trying to support is an objective, independent process whereby I want for fair elections. So if the elections are not fair, then that needs to be changed. And the court should address this and ensure that we have fair elections. So Princess is back again. Do you agree that the scorched earth behavior, where instead of allowing one vote to an organization, I assume they mean the JFF, they already took in since 2022, they would rather burn the house down as well. No, I don't know if there's a burn house. I think both parties are trying to win. I think the Anderson team is more formidable than people imagine. Because you have to understand enough. When you have good lawyers on your side enough, you'll be amazed how well you can do. You will hear one side of a story, one side of the lawyers, and you say, okay, that sounds plausible, it sounds great. And here the other side, you get confused, like who's right? So what Dave has done is put together what seemed to be a very formidable team. As I said, the only person on the team that's not formidable to date that I've seen is Anderson, frankly, is Raymond. Dave's not Dave. Well, I misspoke and said Dave's team. To me, is really Dave's team. I think he's run the show behind the scenes. And hearing him on Sportmax, who, by the way, I thought Ricardo and the other two parties did a poor job of interviewing him. They let him get away with what I call murder. He said that, I'll give you an example. He said that one of the things they're saying is that the person running for president should be disqualified because of some past personal behavior through the courts. And many of you know what that is, right? Ricketts made some inappropriate comments about a person in a prior situation, and the court found him guilty of defamation, and he has to pay out some maybe civil and punitive damages, whether they were, to that person, and they're trying to find his assets to be able to allow that payment to occur. But this happened a while ago, and apparently FIFA did not punish him or remove him from his office. So therefore, FIFA is saying that's not a problem. Dave's team is saying that there should be an integrity test of the persons running for president. Dave is saying, we're not saying Ricketts shouldn't run. No, Dave, that is the most disingenuous thing I've ever heard. So if you're not saying Ricketts shouldn't run, but Ricketts is the only one running for president, and he's the one have the baggage and situation, who are you trying to get not to run? So Dave thinks he's the most smartest person on earth, and he's the cutest person on earth in his language and how he imagines himself. And that's deemed to be cool. It's not cool, because we're not idiots. So when you're trying to show how smart you are by being cute with your language, and Ricardo and his other two colleagues are not pressing you and says that's disingenuous, they seem like they're supporting your team. Because I realize, because I watch them a lot, they mainly most times they bring on the opposition. And I'm not sure if that's because Speed and Ricketts' team refused to go on, but I noticed that, Raymond, Thompson, Cameron, all of them flowing through Sportsmax, making their case, doing their bidding, saying they're confident to win, but their action doesn't show that same confidence that their mouth suggests. And I heard the boss, the Licky boss, on a program earlier this evening, talking about a bunch of things, and I smiled because he seemed to have changed his allegiance even though the people who he's associated with basically are against overseeing bond players in their team. And all of a sudden, even though he says he's for, he's with those people. I don't understand. I don't associate with people who I believe are not operating in my best interest. So don't understand that. Makes no sense to me. Carl, as you just says, because Carl, we know where you sit. You're anti-JFF. Why bash Dave when Chung gives a sugar mouth speech every day? Because I'm not talking about Chung at this moment. I'm not talking about Speed at this moment. We'll get to them. I'm talking about Dave. So what's your problem, Carl? I'm talking about Dave. Let me finish talking about Dave, Carl. And if I finish the discussion here without talking about the opposition, the JFF, then you can have your argument. But stop just expounding your perspective or your narrative of being negative towards the JFF. Because I've never heard you say anything positive about JFF in the Carl. Never. At least I can say Dave Anderson's team is formidable, and I can speak about the JFF in positive and maybe negative way, and both. You never say anything positive about the JFF, even though they point to the achievement in their, what they call it, manifesto or panifesto, whatever the hell we call it. But you should be balanced, Carl. I'm gonna get to the balance school, Carl. Try to be balanced in how you operate, because you are not balanced. Dude, that's just an old term, Carl. I am anti-corruption. I am for transparency. I am for transparency. Carl, please don't use the word corruption unless you have evidence. Let me repeat that. People, no, that's not just for Carl. Please don't call people corrupt unless you have evidence. It's not a fair thing to say. You can have opinion on different things. If you can call somebody corrupt and you have no evidence, it's inappropriate, frankly. Now, you may say people may do things which may not seem appropriate, but don't call them corrupt unless you have evidence. Because if you're going to say they are corrupt, which is what you're inferring, then Raymond was part of that team. So is Raymond pure? Or are you just not balancing your view? Can't call people corrupt, Carl, because if you call them corrupt, and I think Raymond said that, but Raymond didn't look in the mirror. His mirror was cracked. Because if he's been there for 18 years and they're corrupt and he hasn't come out and exposed them and gone to the authorities, what happened? Why did he do so? So I don't understand this. I'm shocked that you do that, calling people corrupt. I'm not sure what you're talking about corrupt, because we shouldn't say that term unless we have surety. So let me go back to what, and Kyle always distracted me. Let me go back to what I was talking about before, which is what Dave was saying. What I got from Dave's conversation, and I listened to it just before I came on this program, is that they're bringing things, a combination of things. The president situation, meaning integrity of the person running for president, who we know is Ricketts, and Raymond. And if you're going to check the integrity of Ricketts, you should also do for Raymond. I have no information on Raymond, what is honest or not. So don't say Kranky said Raymond is not honest. I don't. But he was part of this supposed corrupt organization people are talking about. So the question is he just the only person not corrupt? And if he knew they're corrupt, which is what he said, why isn't he going to the authorities? Second, he brought up the whole issue of there's a conflict with the committee chair. I think his name is Samuda, who is chairing the electoral committee. And that they also have an appeals process if the committee doesn't rule appropriately. But what Dave was saying, which I found interesting, was it appears what I'm hearing him say is, and I could be wrong, it's almost as if the committee rule against me, we're going to escalate to the appeals. And if that doesn't work, we'll take it someplace else. And that's why I said before, it's like Trump, which is no matter what mechanism is put in place to rectify anything that may not be appropriate, to rectify any disagreement, to rectify any potential conflict. And by the way, Jamaica, people, is one whole conflict. And I'm glad Cameron got cute and said, I think it was maybe Ricardo, somebody mentioned about conflict, which is they brought up the whole issue of conflict, which is what Dave teams brought up about Samuda, and Speed was his campaign manager for the GOA, so he's conflicted. And Speed being conflicted given his role as part of the technical committee on the board, all these things are conflicted. What they fail to also do is look in their own house before they bring this up because they have conflicted persons in their own team. As my understanding is that Thompson is conflicted, for example. So the same conflict that they're bringing up, they have some of the same exact conflict because it's a small island. And I see that the elites control everything. So they control different associations. They control different organizations. They have multiplicity of things that they do across different things, all conflict. So when they bring up conflict as a disqualification for candidates or for persons, they need to go look in the mirror first because they have the same thing in their own shop, in their own situation. So it's disappointing to me that we're seeing situations whereby the opposition is trying every single thing that they can. And by the way, they have outwitted the JFF so far to, here's my view, slow the election to a crawl, and maybe not happen at all, never agree to anything that's actually going to lose, figure out to make sure they have the votes to win, maybe have the election conducted when they can disqualify, push out who they want to. So get rid of the candidates. If you now have a president who's going to run, who's the new president going to come in when one may trust to be elected? Because I'm sure Ricketts is the one that the parish presidents and others who are voting for the JFF is the one they're going to want to vote for, not some other person, because Speed is not electable, frankly, even though I think he's a very smart man. Chung is not running for office, so there's no other person. So they get rid of him, then by default, it may be Anderson's team. So that's interesting, actually, about how that works. So it's going to be an interesting situation to see how this all materializes, because Anderson's team, which I think has maybe one or two lawyers, have outmaneuvered the JFF so far. Even though you hear Speed and his arrogance, I'm going to call you Rudolph, I don't care what you say, your arrogance comes through the screen. Your arrogance permeates the environment. You have killed yourself so far. And I said this on Minz's program. If Speed and Chung were smarter, and now they're not smart, they're smart. But if they didn't let their emotion and their ego override their thinking, they would not be in this situation. Why do I say that? If they had acquiesced to the girls in some respects, if they had managed their egos well, if they had thought through this, given the election is coming up, because they're still in charge, they would have found a way to resolve the situation with the girls, right? Because we had all this euphoria and all this happiness from the World Cup. And I know the girls sometimes can be difficult. They are difficult. I know they're difficult. And they have said things which probably they shouldn't have said. But if they had resolved that situation, the masses, even given their history, may have been on their side, right? And would be going in arms about what's transpiring now with Raymond's team. But right now, they have no credibility because of how they have acted and operated. They have zero credibility. So most people, even though they lay out in their manifesto all their credits, all their achievements, all that they have done, most people are saying these things occur despite you, not because of you. So no one is buying into your achievements, which you have negated by your ego. The lady who got disrespected on the bus, I can understand her feelings, but there's a bigger picture. Just like you hear me debate that the girls should not struck when they did, they should not strike because they lost more than they gained. It's the same thing with the JFF about the handle situation. They're now losing more than they gain. And people, this is a lesson for all of us, including yours truly, by the way, because I get perturbed sometimes when it comes out over the phone, mainly over the phone. When I'm on camera, it's a little bit different. I somehow have better recognition and more awareness. But when you're over the phone, you're not seeing people. You're just getting perturbed when things don't go your way. Don't let your emotions get in the way. I know I'm saying it, but it's hard to do, to be frank. But when you're negotiating, you cannot let your emotions override what you're trying to achieve. And the JFF has done just that. So right now, they don't have good support they need to have. They may have support from the parish presidents, but if you ask most fans, they either don't support the JFF or they're indifferent. They don't support Raymond a lot of times. Not because of his team, because of him. And because he's part of the JFF. And if Raymond was an independent party who is well respected in the business community and wanted to get involved in football, I'm sure that team that he leads would probably be better supported, not necessarily by the electorate, because a lot of them are affiliated with the JFF, but by the other stakeholders in this, whether sponsors or fans, etc. So I think Dennis and Rudolph, Rudolph, who is a very smart person to a certain point. Dennis, who talks around in circle and never gets to the point, which is frustrating. Dennis, who's well respected in the business community, but probably doesn't know enough about football as he should, because knowing about football and the personalities help for you to work with them. Rudolph, who works in football, is a really good coach. You can see his team and how young they are. Very smart person, doing some good things to give him credit for, not in spite of him, but because of him, like the coaching situation, getting licensing. That's a really good thing. But nobody cares because Rudolph just upset people with his way he operates. This will never happen again. It's my way or the highway. You can't tell me what to do. I don't hear what you're saying. That kind of vigorous, forceful, no compromise way of operating, people are going to be like, who do you think you are? We don't want to engage with you. So that makes it difficult to engage Rudolph, even though Rudolph is very smart, even though Rudolph is accomplished, but Rudolph and Dennis are the ones we see mostly. Now, here's a question, guys. I heard Ricketts the other day speaking. He was being interviewed by a reporter, answering a lot of the things that we are talking about in some of these forums. And I was impressed. I was impressed with his composure. I was impressed with his use of the English language. I have to say this, I can't say the same for his opposition. Anyway, I was impressed with how his mannerisms, how he engaged. And I've always said about Ricketts, I like him. He's like your grandfather. But I didn't know he was as articulate as he came across, frankly. And I said to myself, I could see him speaking to FIFA. I could see him at CONCACAF. But here's why Ricketts is ineffective. His own manifesto says he's mild-mannered. Please tell me any effective leader who you know who is mild-mannered. Gotta have some spunk. Gotta have some gravitas. Gotta have presence. As a leader, gotta have some charisma. If you don't have those attributes, it's hard for people to follow you. It's hard for you to lead effectively. And even though I think Ricketts is smart, I think he's gracious, I think he comports himself well, where has Ricketts been? I see Raymond out there, he can't speak English, speaking up the place everywhere. I see, now they're not pushing out Raymond, because the criticism he's getting, they're pushing out Dave, they're pushing out Thompson, they're pushing out the other parties who are much more articulate, much more eloquent, have much more presence. They've gotten smarter as the process gets better along. They're pushing out the mouthpieces. They're not pushing out Raymond anymore. He's now gravitating more to the background because he doesn't communicate well. And I don't see him at FIFA. I don't see him at CONCACAF. So what happens is you're now seeing the team who have very good resumes being out there for the opposition. And who you're seeing is Speed. Even though he's smart and comes across well, he makes people perturbed and upset with the way he operates. You hear Dennis a lot, not of late, but Dennis talks around in circles 24/7. You don't think Dennis is smart, doesn't answer any real question. And these people think they're cute when they're smart and try to get away with stuff with the public. And the public has gotten wiser because they deal with the politicians in Jamaica who they talk in circles. So it's interesting, actually, to listen and observe and to see what's happening. Let me take some more comments as we go along, actually. Because I know I've skipped a lot. I did my little soliloquy, so I'll take some comments. Chandex said, no Kranky, no club owner, no tick up in and them. Speed up Bill Cavalier out of JFF. I don't agree with that, actually. Speed takes a bunch of youngsters in his team. He probably always have the youngest team, and they still do well. And I am familiar with the person who, I think the person is Andrew's probably the president of Cavaliers, who's a really decent person, somebody I've met more than once. I don't agree with you, Champ Deck. I disagree with that perspective. And I'm not saying I'm supporting Rudolph, but I don't agree with that. I think Rudolph is a very smart person. I've talked to Rudolph. I've seen how he engages. I've observed him engaging. I've heard about what he's doing. I hear what things he wants to do. I think he has a lot of qualities, but here's another thing in life, people. You could be the smartest person, the most technical person, the most gifted person. But those soft skills about how you engage, about how you position yourself, about how you come across to people, even though one thing's they're the easiest to fix, they're sometimes the hardest to fix. So you think the technical piece, which I need to learn how to get to be a pro licensed coach, may be difficult, and those soft skills about how I manage people, how I nurture them, how I coach them, may be the easiest part to fix. Some things about us, who we are so ingrained, they're very difficult to fix. And I think that's part of Rudolph's problem. You may not like me saying that, but it's true. Let's go back to Kyle again, because he always has these views. Disregarding members and appointing members that align with incumbency is corruption. From beach football to election committee is corruption. But Kyle, here's the question about saying corruption, as if you are the authority in corruption. You don't have all the facts and circumstances. It was my understanding, reading some of what has transpired, that the previous Beach Football Association was defunct and not operational. And therefore, the incumbent decided that, you know what? As part of the electoral process, we can put one in place quickly, have them become an affiliate, and have them vote. It would seem on the surface that this may not be right, but if it satisfies the requirement of the organization and the Constitution, then it should be okay. That's for the court to decide. But Kyle, you don't have all the facts to say that is corruption. Disregarding members and appointing members that align with incumbency is corruption. I don't know what you're talking about, Kyle. Expound upon that. I'm not sure what that means. So Kevin is saying, so Dave Cameron mashed up West Indies cricket to the point that even Jamaica, his own country, voted against him and wanted to come hand in JFF. Yeah, Kevin, some people tell you how Dave did a wonderful job with West Indies cricket. All these youngsters came through. If you know the history of West Indies cricket and when Dave tenure as president, it's a total mess. And that's not debatable. So I don't disagree with you, Kevin, but there are others who are in his camp saying he's done a wonderful job with West Indies cricket. And they went from best at one point to being worse. Now, he doesn't own all of that, but he's culpable in a lot of ways, actually. So Princess is saying, Princess is busy tonight, actually. Princess is saying, how could they? They don't know what it means to be the bigger person in the room. Remember what they did to the girls. So, I didn't want to get into the girls' conversation again, because people know my views on this. I think both the JFF and the girls were wrong. To me, that's indisputable. The JFF weren't the adults in the room. I totally agree with that. They didn't act like elder statesmen in the room and women. I totally agree with that. But the girls also act like kids, frankly, and behaved accordingly and took their ball and went home. And now they can't play in the ball because they took their ball and went home. They weren't playing in the Gold Cup. The girls are culpable as them. But I think as the adults in the room, as an administration, you have to be above the fray. You have to be statespersons in terms of how you operate and didn't operate accordingly. But let's not get it twisted. The girls are also culpable, and they also did things which are not appropriate. Broadcasting to the world that you did GoFundMe to go to Australia and making the country look bad is not appropriate, and it wasn't true either. So that's not debatable. Saying you didn't get paid, which I don't know if it is, let me say this. Did you ever say you got paid? You say you haven't gotten paid. We're now in January, people. Let me just say this. We're in January. And this has been going on since August. And I haven't seen one case where the girls came back through all this time and said, this person didn't get paid. And here's the facts for it. Nothing. Zero. JFF said they got paid. They said they didn't get paid. They haven't come back and said, any one person they say haven't gotten paid hasn't gotten paid. Now, I'll say this. If I was in the JFFC, I would have called every single girl and say, did you get paid? And if you say you didn't get paid, I'm going to go to the bank and check to make sure the money was sent to you and check your bank to see if you got it. That's due diligence. That's audit. That's covering your tracks. They didn't do so, which is disappointing. They didn't so, which is important. And they should have done so. If you want to cover your track, if you want to protect yourself, if you want to confirm that you're right, you have to go the extra step to make sure that it's the case. You know why they didn't do it? Because they didn't want to talk to the girls. They were in their feelings. They believe that they're the adults in the room. Is that my mom used to be? If my mom and I had a disagreement, even if she was wrong, she wanted me to apologize. Now, I got to the point in my life when I was much older, I said, you know what? Let's play this waiting game. And most time I had to give in, I would say this, because she would never apologize. She would prefer to do without than apologize to me. And I was supporting her then. And so I would find a way to make both of us come to a place where we're okay, because she grew up in an environment where, in her time, she was the adult. The kids were always wrong. So therefore, the kids always had to acquiesce and give in to her. Well, that's the JFF actually. Except JFF, they're not your kids. They're independent people who have operated in a professional environment. They're not your kids. And you need to change your behavior to achieve a larger goal, but you were so myopic in your view, like the horse that came in a spark, you couldn't see left or right, all you see was in front of you. And that was to your detriment. And it's been to your detriment to this day, and we continue to do so. So here's an example, JFF. I'm gonna throw things out for you to think about. I'm digressing here, people, from the main subject. I would have given Lauren an extension, even though I kicked that lady off the bus. I would abide my time, and this is conniving people, to say at some point, Lauren, you have to pay the price for your actions. But it's not now. I'm gonna resolve the situation with the girls first. I'm gonna get on a good page. And I know it sounds like mafia situation, but if Lauren's situation was so egregious, you don't have to penalize him immediately. Find a better way to do so, to get your point across. Find a more gradual way to do so. Don't throw the hammer down at once, and then you know what? You blow up the whole thing. You throw a nuclear bomb in the mix, and you can't get out of it. So you're still struggling to get out of it. And it's affecting your tenure and your ability to maintain control over the organization. Not a good thing. What else is here I want to pull up here? So here's logic one. Just come on, Kranky. You are wrong in suggesting that Dave ran West Indies cricket to the ground. That's all the fault of policy of West Indies cricket. Yeah, no, look, I said logic. It wasn't all his fault, but he has culpability in this whole situation. And as someone mentioned before, his own country voted against him. Most times, when we have the different countries who are part of a community, you always have your own country in your corner before you go forward to get other support to you. Says a lot, frankly. Princess, why are you busy tonight? Why he's not electable? Because he's not well liked by a lot of people. Because he's viewed to be arrogant, know-it-all, doesn't listen, always right. And that's why. He has the resume. He's a capable person. I would see him as a viable person to run the JFF, because you need somebody with a strong personality, but also who can lead and have people follow them, who is charismatic, who you can see would be somebody you can engage with, who is nurturing, who is an advisor, who is a very good communicator. There are a lot of attributes you want to be in your leader. And he has some of those attributes, but his downfall are his soft skills, and that can be a killer. People want someone they don't feel is going to be over-imposing, who's not going to listen, who believe they're just the smartest person in the room and no one is smarter than them. That doesn't resonate with people well. He may say that's not him, but that's how he comes across. And you want someone to have the fire in their belly, right? You don't want a leader to be just passive and mild-mannered, as they say, Rickett says, but you have to manage that. It's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And he's trod on the line. He's blown up the line. So he needs to go revisit how he operates. And that's the hardest thing to do when you're very seasoned, which means, like me, you're kind of old, because it's hard to change leopard to change your spots or whatever we call it. It's very difficult to change. So I think speed up a lot of qualities, and I laud Speed and his qualities, but he also has to get called out on some of the things which makes him not electable. And right now, he's not electable as a president. And I'm sure he, like everyone else who's part of JFF or on the board, have aspirations to be president. But you have to change your image to be president. You have to change your image. Else it will never happen. You have to understand that you don't know it all. You have to understand that you have to compromise. There's another person in Jamaica's football who's also uncompromising, and frankly, some people find distasteful, don't want to deal with, don't want to engage with. Some love him. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he has accomplishment to back up some of his why he was the way he is, but nobody wants that to be in their face, frankly. Nobody wants to be in their face. So if you can't show some humility in how you operate in life, and you're always going to be arrogant, people don't want to deal with you. And this discussion is not about Speed, but Speed is very prominent because he's one of the face of the JFF, along with Dennis. There are others in the background who we don't hear about, but who may have just as much influence. And by the way, people, I wonder why Raymond had no influence in the JFF. Was he ostracized, or he just not an influential person? He just doesn't have the deductive reasoning or strategic thinking or critical thinking. Why is it that he didn't have an influence? If I'm in a firm 18 years and I have no influence, I'm leaving before I get to my 18 years. And for all of you out there who are in organizations, any company you're in, any situation you're in, your job should be, you know what? I want to take the president's job, even if you're just a junior starting out. So your next question is, how do I achieve that objective? And it should be work backwards. What are the requirements to get to be president? And you set a timetable and goals and objective to get there. And you do check-in to make sure you're making the progress, right? So if you're Speed, for example, and you want to be president, you must have done a survey to figure out what are your developmental skills that you need to improve for you to be positioning yourself to be president. I'm not sure he has done that. I'm sure he'd probably tell you, I don't need to do that, Kranky. I don't need to do that. I know I'm good. I don't need to do that. And there are people who, and you don't have a monopoly on making those decisions. Others have to find you electable to elect you. So, yeah, I think that needs to change. And I think Ricketts will not change given where he is in life, because that's who he is. And I think it's unfortunate because I actually like Ricketts. You hear Ricketts talk, you see how Ricketts approach things, you see how he engages. You just realize that, you know what, I would want to deal with this person. I want to engage him. I want to be around them. But then you realize that he's not impactful enough. He's not forceful enough. So if you combine Ricketts and Speed, you may have the good qualities of each of them. You may have the perfect president. Dukan said, Kranky, have you ever heard you're a lot like your mom? I'm not touching that one, Dukan. I know where you're going. I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. Let me see what other comments here. I did say this was an hour, so I have 25 minutes. Well, is it 25? Maybe less than 25 remaining. So Carl Wallace is saying, the achievements listed by Ricketts' team equally accrue to the Anderson team. The various current plans are with the JFF to be inherited by whoever prevails. Carl, how you get, I'm confused. Who in the Ricketts team should be attributed to? There's only one person, maybe one or two people on the Ricketts team who were part of the JFF administration. Is it 2 or 3 of the 7 or whatever number it is? And I haven't heard any of them done anything to be deemed to be lauded or be part of what they accomplished. First of all, the leader of the team says he wasn't influential. He had no say. So if he did, how can he get credit? They're corrupt, which suggests he's corrupt. So how does he get credit? I'm confused by that comment, Carl. I don't know how you give them credit for. So you want to give them credit, but you're not giving the JFF credit. So you're saying their achievements, and I've said some people say it's despite the JFF, not because of JFF. but you want to give the opposition credit. I'm going to give them credit for a lawsuit that they have said they're not part of, which is disingenuous, by the way. Do not tell me that they're not the one behind this lawsuit, even though they're saying we're not part of it. We have nothing to do with it. We're not affiliated with this organization. I want to see who they vote for. If beach football, that group, do win their case and are allowed to vote, I'd be curious who they vote for. You'd be shocked, wouldn't you, Carl? I won't be. So I don't agree with that. Jay Ross said, it seems like a Jamaica thing. Jamaican love to act like they're big and bad. We never see anything close to the Italian mafia. Perfecting J. Ross. Perfecting J. Ross. You know, I was reading a book about Don Corleone, which is that mafia that came from, originally from Sicily. And they were talking about, and I couldn't forget this thing that I read. There was one situation where they were dealing with a person. They were trying to be part of a golf course, I guess, membership of a golf course. And they were precluded from doing so, undermined by someone. And the person who refused for them to join the golf course as a member was driving down the street one day, and a big garbage truck stopped in front of them, shut in front of the person, and didn't move. And then they let the person go. And the communication to the person was, next time that truck is going to drive over you. Right? And maybe I confused my story because I know it happened to somebody who I know actually. Same situation. So that's how the mafia operate. You don't make threats, you just execute. Or you give warning, but it's subtle warning. So I would agree with you, Jay Russ, from the context perspective of we do like to verbalize how bad we are, and some people carry it out, versus using more subtle means of achieving your objective. You don't always have to beat your chest. You can, and the girl situation is one that bothers me the most, because the JFF had a chance to look like heroes, and they look like the opposite, frankly. Really look like the opposite. And right now it's killing them. God bless and Brain Drain. Thanks for the super chat. Hey, Brain Drain. I need, can I be your son? Because I know every show I see you on that Brain Drain. Stop, drop money now. So I'm gonna try to go into one of these chambers and reduce my age and my profile so I can be your son. Because stop, drop the dollars, Brain Drain. I must say that. It's appreciated, though. Thanks for the chat. And Jason's also dropping a chat. Jason wanted he's trying to engage with Kyle. I don't know what that's about, Jason. But Kyle is set in his ways. Kyle's not going to change. Kyle is not going to change. He's set in his ways. So Travis, I don't agree with that, Travis. That they should go to. No, look, Travis. When you're trying to win in the Travis, it's like people talk about in England, where the English complain about people diving and say that's cheating and should not be allowed in football, while the South American says that's being genius to dive. It's finding ways to win. It's being creative. It all depends where you come from. The opposition is saying, we want to win at all costs. And the benefits are so overwhelming, we need to win. And we may not like it, but it's facts. It's what it is. So I'm not going to denigrate the opposition about the tactics they're employing, but I want to call them out for all things they're doing so it's transparent. It's transparent. So that's important. It's very important, actually. So Logic is then again supporting Dave. I wonder if Logic won is Dave. Because people, you'd be amazed. And this is interesting. People, we don't have enough likes, hit the like button now. You'll be amazed how many people actually from these organizations watch these programs, take notes. I'm not sure what they do with them, but be amazed how that works. Hey, Jason, thanks for the super chat again. Appreciate it. Yeah, this is an interesting point, Jason, which is, and this is not debatable, people, by the way. Anderson's team does not support foreign-born players playing for Jamaica. They don't. A number of them have expressed that sentiment. It's not debatable. They don't. So if you don't believe that's the case, then you've not been around, you've not been listening, you're not up to date in terms of what's transpiring. They do not believe so. And that's why you see the JFF coming up with this whole quota stuff, even though they say it's been in place for a little while, and put it in their manifesto because they're trying to counteract what they're saying. And by the way, people, even though you hear me getting really perturbed with speed about the quota, I understand why they did it. They're trying to win an election. And you got to put out all the stuff to win an election. I don't think Speed believe in quota. I don't think they have a choice. Or the board has a choice. So interesting. So I'll put Kyle thing up here in the question. Kranky, you can't accuse me of never giving JFF credit without having the chance to rebut your slander. Kyle, there's no one more slanderous than you. Trust me. Go read your own comments. I keep telling these people, look in the mirror first before you start throwing stones, because you may get hit by those stones you're throwing. So don't make comments which you can't justify, because these things are recorded. You slander. You just want talking about corruption, and I call you out for not having the evidence about corruption, and then you're talking about slander. I'm not sure how that works out. Again, more money from Brain. Hey, Brain. Just give me some way to contact you, so I can. I have some bills I need paying, Brain. Trust me. But thanks for the super chat. It's appreciated. So Princess Jillian, who has been really communicative all night, is dropping her super chat. Why? Money I run tonight. My name's Lon. We have some very affluent members of the community here tonight. And by the way, if you feel like dropping more super chat, don't let me dissuade you in any way, shape, or form. Please do so. Please do so. We appreciate it. One hoe is not enough, Kranky. So if you don't want more time, if you give me more money, you can't want more time. It take time for me now, because so me get seasoned. I forgot, even though today Friday, I forget, so I can stay a little bit longer. Actually, today's Friday. It's not. Today's Friday, so I don't have to go to bed. Get about 4:30. Election I run money. Carly said, election I run money run. Yes, by both parties. So if you support the opposition, that's why they're fighting so. One could say that's why they're fighting so hard. I don't know, but you could make that case. You can make that case why they're fighting so hard. Come, people, come with the comments. Ask a question, make your comments. I'll post them as much as I can. And by the way, let me apologize for this, people, because you may not realize this. I only had one. I don't have a phone for you to call. As I mentioned before, when I did this Christmas Eve, I did get a number from Jamaica, and unfortunately, the person's not giving me their number again because they were getting called directly and they weren't happy, even though I was trying to link it with WhatsApp. So it's not because I don't want to take call. I don't have the ability to do so. So maybe if I can link Manning's man and he can allow me to do so, but I don't have that ability. Coach's desk. Why money I run? Money I run tonight. And I know there's a $9.99 like in our business people. Even though you put the $10 in, because you know why I put $10? It do more. It's people sell $9.99 because they don't want it to seem as much. You want to see more, so just drop the $10 and done. Drop the 1 cent. But hey, Coach Vinci, I appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm rich in words, Rich Vinci. I'm rich in words. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, who do they have on?
Am I live? This
Yes,
is Kyle, your best friend.
Hey, Kyle,
This
how
is
are you
Kyle,
doing?
your best friend.
Yes, Kyle, what do you want to say?
Good. I mean, I'm sitting down here watching you accuse me of being you know, biased and anti-GFF. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I have given the GFF credit, you know, I mean, certain things back in the past, you know, but
How long ago was that, Kyle? How long ago was that?
well, I haven't called in quite a while because I've been watching the runnings like everybody else,
Okay.
you know,
So
but I
what
have
have you given them credit
credit
about,
back
Kyle?
in the
What have you
past.
credited them for?
But like, I mean,
Yeah.
I've given Mr. Speed credit for the excellent job that he has done in terms of coaching. We have supported his coaching initiative, you know, and I like you believe that he's a very strong leader and he does a lot of good in Jamaican football. That said, you know, that doesn't mean that I see certain things going on right now that I believe fit the bill of corruption. You know, I mean, that's just glaring. You know, having a election committee president that was once aligned with your campaign party. What is that? What
Right.
is that?
So Kyle, let me ask you a question. Is there any corruption, as you call it, on the opposition side? Or is this thing just business as
Of
usual in
course,
Jamaica?
there. Listen, no. Listen, Jamaican football is set up in a way of conflicted interest.
Right.
That is another form of corruption. Whether it's the Ricketts party or the Anderson party, there's a problem with that. Now, my thing is, I want a transparent election. You know, and I see two giants fighting, and what I believe happened or is happening is that one party took the other one for granted, and now they're being hit with an uppercut, and you're catching their breath. I mean, to me, this is all good enough because it is for the betterment of Jamaican football that all the ugliness is on the table, and we deal with our issues to make Jamaican football better. Okay, that's where I am coming from. I am not pro
Okay.
Ricketts. I'm not pro Anderson. I am pro transparency and a fair election. That's
All
where
right.
I'm coming from.
Okay. Well, it's glad that you provided
Fair?
explanation because when I read your comments, I get a different perspective. But it's good to have that clarity on your part.
Kranky, you never give me credit for nothing. I don't know why.
I don't know. Maybe it's your words, hey Kyle. You can only get credit when credit's
Wow,
due.
bro. All right. Anyway, nice show, and you know I've been watching you for the past week, and I'm really impressed with how you're carrying yourself.
You mean how I lift myself up? Well, coming from you,
I
Kyle,
mean,
I appreciate it. I
you
appreciate
know,
it.
one thing
So,
this
Kyle,
election has
let me say
shown
something
though.
before you say anything else, Kyle. Kyle, that's interesting. You say that
Uh,
because you and I go back and forth, which is, you know what, JFF should do more of that. What you just did, so you hear me giving you a hard time and you give me a hard time, JFF need to do more of that, actually. They need to understand how to deal with difficult situations. Go ahead, sorry.
right. Yeah, you know, I was saying, you know, the good thing from what I see coming out of all of this, you know, is that I don't believe that elections going forward is going to be the same. I believe, you know, you're really going to have some, you know, some progressive teams putting forward some ambitious programs. Some of it might not come through, but you're going to have
Right.
more competent people getting involved. So to me, you know, like you, I believe that this is healthy and people need to sit back and watch and see what transpires. I am not for any normalization. No way am I for that. I'm for the healthy process of the competition. That's what I am for. All right?
Now, Kyle, I appreciate that, Kyle. And thanks for the clarification. And thanks for
All right, cool.
providing a perspective. But I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
man. Take care. Good night. Right.
Good night. Good night. Thanks, Kyle, for calling in. Apologize for that, people. So let me just say this, actually. Kyle, I appreciate you calling in. And Kyle and I go back and forth on this. But I'll say this, which is it's important for people like the JFF and the girls not to take these things personal when they have disagreement and to think about What are they fighting about? And both parties should be seeking resolution. I get the sense that the JFF and the girls are in their corner, and because they're both stubborn, they'll be hard to find common ground, which is so unfortunate, people. It's really so. I think I know from where I sit, we're in the best era of Jamaican football, even better than 1998. Because if you look at the 1998 team, we didn't have a women's team then that was of any note. And the men's team went to one World Cup, and they did okay at the World Cup. They did win a game. But I don't think the quality of the team was where it is today that gave us so much optimism. And the potential quality of the team is there to give us so much optimism. And the only thing that's destroying this appears to be the administration. Hey, Princess, I need to get some of that money out of it now. I am not single, but if you are as wealthy as you look like you are, I can become single pretty fast. Let me read your comments. Your comments on Anderson is accusatory. Wow, that's strong comments. Princess, maybe I should have took your $20 or $19.99. While your comments on Ricketts are excuses based on need to win, as if Anderson doesn't have the same need. Please explain why your basics seem to be different for each side. It's not different. Well, there's difference. You don't hear Ricketts as much. Look, you got to separate Ricketts sometime from his people, even though once they're one and the same. If you have my understanding was the reason why Lon became the coach was because of Ricketts, when he was being opposed by the members of the board and his support staff. He made the decision to say Lon should be coach, which would have created the girls may not have gone to the World Cup if Lon wasn't coach. So he made some sacrifices. And I've never seen Ricketts in an environment where he was confrontational, which may be part of his issue. Because you have to be both sometimes. I've only seen Ricketts being a gentleman. Now, one could say, look, Kranky, some of the things that they're doing don't seem appropriate, as Carl is alluding to, which is you construct you were forced by FIFA to expand the voting population and to allow others to compete in the electoral process. But what they have done is configure the Constitution to satisfy them, to make it almost impossible for them to lose. What they didn't count upon was that they have someone in their midst, or multiple people in their midst, who would not be a part of the organization, who understand how this was constructed, and would oppose them. So if I'm going to oppose you and have all the dirt on you, I know everything that you did, I was part of the person who made sure that happened, then it's hard to engage and deal with those people because they're hard to defeat because they know all strings to pull to allow them to stay in the race. Right? And I think that's what happened. The Anderson and some of his team were part of the JFF. They knew everything that transpired, which people got to remember this. This is not unique to Ricketts' team, you know. This was Burrell after he won the second time from after Boxell defeated him and he came back. He set up in a way which is impossible for him to lose. The thing about him was that he was smarter than some of these individuals about how that worked. And he made sure he had all the parishes in his corner, at least most of them, and guaranteed himself victory. We have a more distributed community, a more disaffected community in some of these parishes. Kasafa is always an outlier, always a problem. And you have some people from the East who are also challenged with the JFF. And so you don't have that unity supporting that one leader. And that's why you have what you have now, which is, frankly, some sort of chaos, frankly, where we are. Now, my concern is that, because my understanding now is FIFA is now becoming involved, right? You know, and FIFA want to make sure they address these things immediately, because FIFA has a lot of problems across the globe. A lot of countries in Africa, whether it's Kenya or Chad or Mali, a lot of countries have problems in Africa, but it's Africa. It's a problem continent. Countries like Pakistan have problems. The other countries, but they're not the biggest footballing nation, some of them. Some in Africa are decent known, but they're not the Ghanas and the Cameroons of the world, right? We as Jamaica are the prominent team in the Caribbean. we're the benchmark in the Caribbean. We have done really well. I was speaking to someone from another country today, person I respect a lot in their football knowledge, and they were saying, I cannot believe you guys are doing this. Like, you guys are the epitome of what should be in the Caribbean. You guys are doing really well. You're positioned really well. You can have a very good team, even a great team, and I use the word great loosely, because you have so much potential people you can bring into your team. You could compete. You could be, the person said, and they were emphasizing this, you could be number one in CONCACAF. Give the potential team you can put on the field. So why are you guys having all of this? I'm a paraphrase them. Why is this occurring? And why now? And the people who are involved in this are not patriots. They're not patriots. They're thinking about number one, themselves. If they were patriots, they'd be thinking about the country, where we are, where we're going, and trying to figure out ways to compromise and come together to make sure that the country benefits, not the individuals. They're about the me, not the us, not the we, the me. It's what they can get out of this. It's the power that's at stake. It's the financial rewards at stake. It's the influence at stake. It's not the country. And FIFA is a monopoly. It's a dictatorship organization, which basically says you can't interfere with us or else we're going to expel you. I'm not sure how governments don't come together and say, you know what, we've had enough of this bunch of people who don't think appropriately and are holding us hostage based on they can suspend organization. We're going to prevent our countries. But say the world can align. The world doesn't have that, right? The world's always fighting. So governments can't come to say, you know what, we're going to disband FIFA. We're not dealing with FIFA. We're going to pull our countries out of you can't play with our countries, FIFA. So we're going to deal with you because you have been corrupt. Your corruption, we can say because it happened. We have seen you corrupt. Even though most of the people convicted were the ones in the Western Hemisphere because they didn't have US bank account. And you didn't see any investigations occur in Europe or in Africa or in Asia. And I'm sure they're not pure, which is really interesting, actually, and frankly disappointing. So you have one set of people on this side of the hemisphere who got prosecuted, and all the other people in different parts of the world didn't get prosecuted. Yeah, we have had Blatter and a few of them, and the person from France, why is his name slipping me, who were penalized in some way, shape, or form because Blatter paid him money, undisclosed $2 million fee, which one can't explain why he paid him. The star of the 80-something World Cup of France, 82 World Cup, his name will come to me. But you didn't see a lot of Europeans or Asians or Africans who were arrested, charged, sent to jail. Didn't see that happen because they didn't use the US banking system, which is interesting. But we're allowing this organization to really dictate footballers' lives and countries' lives in football when they're not the modicum of good behavior either. They don't have integrity. They're not deemed to be honest, but they're the ones who are allowed to run things, as they say. So you have to adhere to what they require. And they're going to come in and be the bastion of integrity and fairness when they also can't look in the mirror, which is interesting.
Kranky? Yeah,
yes.
Kranky. Yeah, man, just good night to you and your wonderful.
That's up, man.
Yeah, man, you're wonderful commenters. Yes. Good show listening. Just want to Princess Gillian, you can call in. You understand me? One thing is sure.
No. Let me answer the question. I apologize, man. Let me answer the question. It's $20. It's a lot of money. I did for me anyway. It's a lot of money because I'm poor. It's a lot of money. So she said your comments on Anderson is accusatory. Maybe that's why I was running from the comment. Why your comments on Ricketts are excuses based on need to win, as if Anderson doesn't have the same need. Please explain your basic. As I said, no, I answered this. I said, look, I am not going to give a pass to either party. I think Ricketts come across to me as a very intelligent person, very articulate person, a gentleman. And every time I've seen him engage, he come across that way. But both he and Anderson have said this, or I said the JFF and including Anderson, they configured the Constitution so they can win. The only reason why it is the way things are now is because Anderson stepped out, said to become the opposition, and all hell break loose. Right? But they're both culpable. Carl Ricketts was overseeing all of this. Now, I'm not sure if he administrated it or he's the one who orchestrated this, but he's part of it. So no, I'm not running from your comment, Princess Julian. I think they're both culpable. I think this was concocted by them to guarantee victory. But what they didn't place a bet on or understood or didn't realize that would have occurred was that Raymond would have decided to go form his own team, undermine them, and try to gain position as president. Man, do me a quick favor. Can you run a poll? I don't know how to run a poll. Can you run a poll? 2 polls. One is, should Ricketts be president or Anderson be president? And 2 is,
there's a controversial poll to run on the platform.
No, I'm actually running. This is me running this program. You're not part of it. You're just the well, you're not the producer. I don't want you to be the producer either. You get yourself in trouble. I want this contingent here to vote. I am the one running this poll. I just know how to run the poll. But tell me how to run it, and I'll do it. You don't have to do it.
All right. So, who should be president? Anderson or Ricketts?
Anderson or Ricketts? Yes.
Right.
And then the second one is, who could you see in front of FIFA being a vice president in FIFA?
Let's do that one first, and then we can come back to. And once we have, all right.
And then the next one is, who do you want to represent Jamaica on the world stage? Who could you see represent Jamaica on the world stage? Raymond or Ricketts? I'm curious to get people's perspective. And then we can have a dialogue in the chat about what you think are the attributes and criteria should be required of the president. And the world stage is important, people, because here's my view. We should mandate that the president of the JFF have an officer position in both FIFA and CONCACAF. Now, I know Ricketts have some position in CONCACAF, but those seem to be influential. And maybe it's the lesser of 2 evils, because if you don't have a forceful presence, if you don't have gravitas, it's hard for you to be president of anything and be credible, to be honest.
Yes. Right. So the poll is there. All right. So let me just add a couple of things. So let me just help. So, I had Mr. Lockloy from Trinidad and Tobago, who was the opposing side who won the election, but they were removed, and that is what led them to court action. But they had followed the procedure, which is they went to CFU, then it moved. Oh, somebody was saying I should fix the poll. I said none of them was option as well.
No. We only have 2 choices. You can't have none of them because you have 2 choices. I'm sorry, people. If you want to call the lesser of 2 evil, that's fine, but you have to select one. Sorry, right. You have to make a choice. And people, please don't say you're not part of the electoral process, because in the real world, when you have PMP and JLP, those of you who don't want to vote for PMP and you vote for JLP, I don't vote for JLP because you're out of it. In Jamaica, the last election, only 37% of the electorate voted. That's not okay. It can't be okay. Because what happens is you're just giving the election to the JLP, frankly. So sorry. They want to get to that policy, but it's a fact.
So I actually had conversation with him, and so he said the government kind of stepped in. People said, listen, the implication of Trinidad being suspended or banned by FIFA because they were going to get expelled from all football was such a tough thing for the people that they were asked to withdraw. And so they had to withdraw the court case, and that is why they weren't removed from football, basically. But normalization committee came in. All right, so let me help us what that means. If this continues and the case is not withdrawn, there will be no, because the normalization committee is a little bit different. Trinidad and Tobago was still able to play international game. If the court case is not removed because it didn't go through those processes, Jamaica will not be able, it's not normalization committee first. Jamaica will be banned from football, every FIFA related football. That's part of the problem that I have. It's not like.
So Mannings, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Though. If the Beach Football Association says we're not an affiliate of the JFF, then how could FIFA say I'm going to expel you?
Well, that is where now, because that part I need to understand. But one thing I know is that if you bring FIFA to court, here's the first thing: if you don't withdraw the court case, so they're going to remove you. Say, for example, let's use this: NCB has a head office, this bank has a head office. One of the branches take out a lawsuit against the head office. The head office has a job to do. One, listen, you are no longer one of our branches. Shut down, don't use our name. You can operate. We're going to take our staff. We're going to close out. Or we are going to come in and run the whole thing. For us to do that, you have to remove the court case so we can normalize the operation. If you are expelled, you have to apply for membership again, and then normalization will come in. That is the problem we face. So this court case, and I'm wondering why, because this is the 28th of February. That is during or after the under-20 competition. It could have implication for that. This is weeks away from the Nations League. So if this is not resolved, it is possible that Jamaica could be removed from the Nations League semifinals, because they'd have to tell the team with enough notice so that they can prepare to play in the Nations League. If those things begin to happen, I think the ripple effects are going to be a whole heap of, like, and for me, that is why it hit me so hard today. You know, I don't take it lightly, because as far as I'm concerned, like, I'm gone past the candidates. Because the truth is, if Mr. Ricketts walk away from the football today, Kranky, with nothing more except what he has done and what he has, it doesn't affect him. If Mr. Anderson walks away, it doesn't affect him. The people who get affected the most, right? The people that get affected the most in all of this is the people who actually play the sport, especially those who are not playing. So all of these things, you know, we don't understand that schoolboy football not going to play. This is the extent of this. This is the extent of it.
But Mannings,
Let me have,
they have gone. Go ahead.
No, I just want to go as people to understand. This would mean that Mr. Gould would pack up his belongings and leave Jamaica, because what would be the point? How do you restart from those things? And that is why I have been saying from the beginning, sit down and work this out, because you cannot mean football any good and allow it to reach here. Because here's the thing, you know what is the funny thing? If this was an outsider going up against them, I believe the outsider would have walked away and left it and said, just go on. I believe if Kranky, if you or if me went up against them, we would have said, you know what, for the sake of football, let's leave them and make them run it. I would have done that. So I cannot understand how the people who are in the football cannot see that a coach Al Grimson would have no need to be in Jamaica. I said that today, and people think he doesn't have no need to be in Jamaica. Why does John Wall need to be in Jamaica? Why does Peter Gould need to be in Jamaica? Why the people at Treasure Beach need to run football? Why? Why these players who from the other Caribbean country, why do they need to stay? Why should a youngster play football? What would be the purpose of playing any sort of football? And I don't think, why should Mason Greenwood and all of these players apply for Jamaican citizenship? Those are the questions I want people to answer.
So, man, let me play devil's advocate. Why doesn't Ricketts and his team walk away then?
Maybe they should.
If they're saying that they want football to progress, then maybe they should walk away, right?
Yeah.
One could make the case in both cases.
How Kranky saying bless up Kranky?
I mean, you know, trying to multitask doesn't work. I meant best of Toby. I just realized it too. Maybe I'm under pressure like No, here's the point, Manning. The point I'm going to try to make, which is this: I don't think people can expel us when the JFF has said, here's the thing, here's the whole circuitous thing around this. The JFF said the Beach Football Association is not an affiliate, right?
You have a call, Kranky, so I'm gone.
Yeah, and whoever's calling, please turn your sound off in the background. I don't like to hear myself. Who is speaking, please? Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Who's this?
Hello? This is Carl Wallace.
Hey, Carl, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm good. I'm just reacting to what Manning's man just said about being banned by FIFA and all that stuff. The way I see this, you have two teams. This person's vying for leadership of the football. Now these guys must lead. They must meet and solve the issue, and then get the injunction. It's as simple as that. If what Ricketts is stating is fact, in other words, legitimate organizations were ignored and a cooked up new organization has been brought in, then clearly you have to do the right thing. And that would solve the issue, right? If Ricketts is wrong and misunderstood if Anderson is wrong and I spoke about Ricketts first. If Anderson is wrong, if on the other hand, Anderson is wrong and misinterpreted the situation, and in fact, the newly put together organizations are legitimate, are now the legitimate ones, then he should withdraw the injunction. The injunction should be dissolved just as well. It can't be it's two grown guys, two adults.
But Carl, here's what people are missing, Carl.
Yes.
They're saying they didn't file any lawsuit. They've been cute. Did you hear Cameron on Sportsmax says the Anderson team did not file a lawsuit? They're independent of the parties filing the lawsuit. That's where I think being disingenuous comes into play. Because what they're trying to do is this. They're smart, They have lawyers on their side, right? They're smart. They figured this out, which is we don't want FIFA involvement. We don't want FIFA expulsion. We don't want normalization yet. So the party has been deemed by the JFF not to be an affiliate, and maybe because they have been appropriately registered or been defunct, whatever it is. So they're saying, we didn't ask them to file a lawsuit. They did it independently, and they're not part of the JFF, an affiliate. They can't be suspended by FIFA. It's like a private citizen bringing a lawsuit that they've been disenfranchised. Now, the question I ask, Kyle, is this: if the courts agree that they must be put on the ballot, then they now become an affiliate. Well, FIFA said, but an affiliate, who you are now, you brought the lawsuit, so you are an affiliate against a FIFA-run organization, and therefore the organization should be expelled or suspended. That's the question. So even they may have good lawyers on their side, they may have overplayed their hands, actually.
That is if it goes all the way to the courts. I don't think it's
well, it's at the courts now. It's at the courts now, right? They have the injunction. So.
The judge said they didn't have enough time, so they will not. They will not. Hold on. There is going to be a hearing. It is in the courts. There is a case. That there will be a court case. There will be a hearing the 28th, and FIFA has already. You don't see that. Well, next week we'll see documents. FIFA has already written to. Some people think it's a joke thing, like, oh, this is going to just go over.
No. One moment. Do you understand what I was saying? Because where you have gone, I am saying it can be solved before the 28th. That's what I'm saying, and the injunction.
So, Kyle, here's the thing, Kyle.
No, but they have to go to. No. Just listen. No. If I take you to court, I still have to go to, and we meet and have a mediator and fix it. We still have to go to court.
And what you're going to go to
management, unless you get the court to expedite the date of the hearing.
And what you do when you go to court in that case, management.
Right, but yeah, you can go to court and say we have dismissed the matter, but you still have to go to court, which means the election cannot be held. Here's the issue we have: the election cannot be held before the date of the court, and it cannot be set before the court date.
But Mannings, I think you can resolve it before that date.
What's the big deal?
If the case could be dismissed, Mannings.
Is it 20th of January, right? Am I correct?
February.
No, February.
All right, 20th of February. Today is whatever it is of January.
The 10th.
Why can't it be solved on the 20th of January?
All right, the parties can meet, but don't they have to? All right, can you bring a matter to court? And all I'm asking, I need a lawyer. Can you bring a matter to court and then do not turn up to court on the court date that you have gotten? Is that possible? Maybe it is. So if it is, you can say, management, that can happen, and then I'll take it. You bring. I bring you to court. I bring you to court. You owe me $1 million. I bring you to court. You say, all right, management, I'm going to pay you next week. I say, all right. Court date was the 29th of January. Can we not go to court? Or don't we have to go to court and say to the court, we settled the matter before, so I'm going to drop the charges? Isn't that how it works? I'm just asking.
I am thinking that you are correct, but I'm not a lawyer, so I would advise you to get a lawyer to answer that. But
Okay.
if you solve the issue, which is my point, if you solve the issues, then there's no way FIFA is going to get involved because it's solved.
Exactly.
It goes away.
Exactly.
Dissolved.
Remember,
so as far as talking about
no, but
we're going to be banned from football and we're going to be something that.
When the lady was asked, so sometimes you see this is a thing now. All right, so it's Kranky show. She was asked on the radio today about the possibility of FIFA stepping in and banning the football. She said that she's willing, if that is what's going to happen, and even if she gets banned by FIFA, this is what she's going to do because this is something she's going to fight for. So, in my opinion, that doesn't sound like somebody who is going to give up the matter.
Well, but why would you expect her to give it up if she's correct?
But
it's for the FF now to be reasonable and said, oh, we made an error, so on, so on, so on, so on. Now, if the JFF is not wrong, it's for her to act like an adult and say, oh, I made an error. I am going to dissolve the injunction.
Mr. Wallace, though, like Kranky, Mr. Wallace, the JFF already said that they are not wrong. They have already said that. Mr. Wallace,
so
Mr. Wallace. Yeah. This is the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Mr. Ricketts was given the option. Do you want to just admit them, or you want to wait until the 28th for the matter? They said, we have done nothing wrong, so let's wait until the 28th. You are saying what they need to do is say, we are wrong, so you people are right. They have already, all of that has been said. There was a court, they went to court today. The injunction means that they were before the judge, and it was not resolved. What are you talking about?
Well, let me tell you again. They can still resolve the issue before the 28th. And I'm not saying Ricketts is wrong, or in fact, let me use the right term, that Pat Garrell is wrong, or that the JFF is wrong. They need to just come together and use the facts to decide whether or not it's a legitimate of the companies or it's not. What you're telling, Manningsman, let me tell you what I get from you. You're telling me you have two sets of persons who are riveted in stone and will not budge. I am saying I will not accept that.
But that
we all love the football.
Sir, how long? No, just Mr. Wallace. I know you're older than all of us, you know. You have more experience than everybody so fine. But
don't worry about that.
No, man, just listen.
My brain is as young as everybody's brain.
No,
go on.
So can I jump in? Can I jump in for a second? Can I jump in?
Let me 30 seconds. Mr. Wallace, remember, this has been going on for months now. So 2 parties, they have gone to Congress. It has been going on for months, and that is why it went to court. They have tried to resolve it on their own. They have not been able to. So now the last measure is to take it to court, knowing what the implications are. Kranky just said to you, that is why the Anderson team has decided that someone who is a part of, well, they said, no, she's not a part. She's going to do it and not them, because they understand the implications of it. So now, because she's independent, she has no reason to stop. And if the other side said, okay, you know what, we are going to stop, it is mean we are conceding the election and we are giving it to them. So how it has to go to court.
So Kyle, can I say this? Hey, Kyle, can I say this, Kyle, before you start?
No.
Hey, Kyle?
No. Manning's man asked us one thing a while ago, Frankie. When Manning's man spoke, he asked a question.
Okay.
That should be answered. Where did he get that information, authenticated information, that each party had decided, as he just explained a while ago?
I think that came to the whole process today. I think I read about Ricketts saying he will not. They take the decision. They'll go to court because they think both sides think they're right. And if both sides think they're right, there is no.
And then you tell me. You keep saying Ricketts says, but you tell me all the while. You tell me over and over tonight that it is a third party who filed that injunction, right? But
no. Kyle, you're not listening. Kyle, you're not listening. You're not listening. Here's the point I've made. The Dave Cameron team, the Raymond Anderson's team, says a third party. You and I know it's not a third party, but they have lawyers who have informed them from where I sit to say, you have to say a third party. You cannot say you're affiliated, because if you do, we're in trouble with FIFA. We'll be expelled by FIFA. We'll be banned by FIFA. If you're a third party, we don't own you. Either you're going to vote for us, you're an independent. So therefore, if we're not affiliated, we can't be deemed to be the party who brought the lawsuit. That's the point. And let me say this, Kyle. Because people are
Miss Garrett, as I know her, and having dealt with her in the past in terms of football, Miss Garrett is a strong-willed person, and if she believes she should act in that manner, then she would take that step, and she'd be waiting to see what the JFF does.
No, she's not more strong than well. She's Jamaican, the most stubborn of the people on God's earth, period. And if you want an example, go check the JFF and the girl situation. You're talking about compromise. Where did the compromise come? Who's going to compromise? Have you seen what happened with the girls in the JFF? There ain't no compromising happening. They will kill each other until they. Carl, you're not listening. You're just talking. I've allowed you to talk all the time you've been on. I've been quiet. Keep talking, Carl.
No, you're.
I'm getting frustrated too. Keep talking. Tell me when you finish, I can jump in.
Yeah,
I don't want to be rude.
Where the girls are. I don't want to be rude either. Where the girls are concerned, the JFF dropped the ball. The girls are employees. The JFF is the boss. The boss must solve the problem. Must bring them to the table and deal with it. The JFF never did that.
Kyle, there are no employee. Kyle is a contractual relationship between the girls and the JFF. There's no employee here. They're independent contractors. There are no employees here. The point I was trying to make with the JFF is that if you're the administration, yeah, go ahead.
Who holds the handle? The JFF or the girls?
Nobody holds any handle. It's a contractual relationship.
Oh, the JFF hold the handle. They invite people to come and represent the country. People can't just turn up and represent the country. The JFF.
But they can refuse to invite Kyle. Let's not go down. Kyle, we're not going down this road tonight. I'm telling you, we're not going down this road. Stop. I got to cut this off. We're not going down this road.
I'm not Kyle.
Here's my frustration with you, Kyle. Here's my frustration. But you're not right. You're not right. I'm sorry.
course I'm
Well,
right.
probably just sound the same to me. I'm sorry. This sounds terrible. But you're his dad, right? That's why we always argue. Because you guys are strong-willed. So here's the point. Because you're not listening. If you employ a plumber to come and fix...
Yes, go ahead. So if I employ somebody to come fix something, go on.
If you employ a plumber to come and fix your pipe, who is in the position of strength? You have a contract. You'll fix the pipe for $100. Huh?
Right.
Is that person you employ? Is there an employee?
No. The person who do the hiring is in charge.
Nobody's in charge. I can refuse to do the service.
No, the employee can come in, the independent contractor can come in and even pull the pipe apart and halfway through the job, and you can just look at them and say, okay, that's it. Here's your $100. Bye-bye.
So that means you're in charge.
You're always in charge. You're always in charge.
Okay, all right.
You're always in
we
charge.
Agree to, Kyle, I'm always saying Kyle. We agree to disagree. How about that? Carl, we agree to disagree. How about that? We agree to disagree.
Okay. Okay. But to get back to the issue at hand, simple problem that can be easily solved.
It's not simple. No, I can't let you get away with that. It's not simple. It's not.
Tell me the
simple, they'll be in court. Here's the difficulty.
Tell me the difficulty.
You say, okay, here's the difficulty. You are convinced you're right. I am convinced I'm right.
I know that.
Okay. And I'm saying I'm right. So how is that simple?
Then convince me, or I must convince you.
I've tried. You are saying no, you're not convinced. Either side's not convinced.
No. The only thing is something simply enough. Only facts can convince either side. Right?
Yeah.
What reason the JFF had to step over Miss Garrel and her group? Right?
Why use the term like step over? How you know what step over?
To bypass. Let me use another word.
Okay.
Just like how you get all fixated on corruption being to have something to do with money. Corruption.
Words are important. Right? I understand that, but words are important. Okay.
Corruption. Let me defend my son. Corruption can mean a lot of different things.
I understand.
And you know that.
Corruption in Jamaica normally means money, but I agree with that. But go ahead. I'm waiting for you to tell me the difficulty why this thing can't be solved. So here's why it can be solved. Here's why it can be solved. But it will be solved because the courts will come up with a decision at some point whether or not they get put on the ballot. But here's the problem. If you have a constitution, it has certain clauses in it. One of the clauses could be that you have to be registered to be an affiliate, and there may be other things surrounding that requirements or criteria to be an affiliate. If you don't satisfy those things, but you think you have, and you're sure you think you have, but the organization that owns the constitution say you have not, and you think you have, how is that easy to be solved? If you both interpret the criteria differently, where you're saying, if I was an organization, I was in play, I have operated, but I have not been active in a while, I'm now deemed to be defunct. But you say, no, I'm not defunct. I still exist, even though I've not been playing. And my constitution says you have to be operational, you have to be registered, you have to be in play. Then both parties are going to be at lockerhead. There will never be a good resolution until you go to the courts. The courts will look at all the evidence and says yay or nay. That's what we're having here. Now, I don't have all the facts, but it's what I've heard today. That's the problem. That's the problem.
I don't have the facts, and I can't prove. So yes, man.
Hey, Carl, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. It's good to have these discussions, even though I'm pulling my hair out and I don't have any left. But I'll say this, which is, I understand the perspective from where you're coming from, which is people, it should be simple. If you have a constitution, it has certain criteria. You look at how you operate and just match it correct. Like Carl is saying, Carl is right on the surface, but that's not the actuality. The actuality is...
I've lived a long time. There's nothing... I've lived a long time.
Hello?
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, hello, Kranky. Yes, CC here.
Yes. Mr. CC. How you doing?
You hearing me?
Yes.
You guys hearing me?
And by the way, Kyle and Carl, I apologize for confusing you too.
What's going
Maybe
on?
because of the pressure you put on me. So maybe when I feel
Mannings,
pressure
you
from
hear
one, I
me?
think it's the other. But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, CC. We're hearing you.
Yeah, so my thing is this, Kranky. I want to know, can you name an organization that if you are being unfairly treated or in terms of where you can't take legal recourse against them? Outside of FIFA.
Yes. No, that's the only one I know.
So why is it that we have become comfortable with the notion that, because I think the environment that FIFA has created, this is going to be a strong word, but the environment that they have created facilitates corruption.
But see, come on, CC, stop. CC, I'm gonna stop you. CC. Me just bring up them things to show people, give them some perspective on FIFA. But CC, me and you can't change that, FIFA. Come on, CC, we can't change that. And you know what?
No, man, I know.
We're only little Jamaica. If the US and the Europeans haven't changed this, we can't do nothing about the CC. Come on. We can't change it. We could protest how we want.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, but listen, what I'm saying, Kranky, I said this to say that a lot of persons are saying that if we know that we shouldn't carry them to the court, because if we carry them to court, there's an implication that we can get the football can be banned. Yes, right. That scenario is there. However, I am saying that if every single time a situation like this turns up in every different confederation, and everybody's saying, yo, you can't take FIFA to court because if you take FIFA to court, your federation is going to be banned. Imagine if, for example, they go and say they might ban Brazil, and then Argentina has a similar situation and go to the court. They ban Argentina. Germany did this thing, they ban Germany. England, you know what will happen? Eventually, this would have to change. But guess what? A lot of these countries will not be farming that type of block surrounding it to say, all right, if we have an issue and we feel that we have been treated unfairly, then we will take legal recourse. But there's an next organization that is like that, Kranky. You know, the La Cosa Nostra. You know the term La Cosa Nostra.
Yes, I know the term. We're talking about the famous organization that seems to have been created in Italy, but it's probably created someplace else and evolved in Italy and is embedded in Italian society. Yes, we're familiar with that term. Yes.
So that organization, you can't take that organization to the court either. Are there serious implications for you to take that organization to the court? You'll be kicked out of the family and not recognized. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying if people look at the similarities between these organizations, that is how it is run. And I think if somebody's feeling as if you want fear, is it that we want fair and free election to be and for due process to take place, or is it that we want whatever constitution that was concocted to be carried out through the whims of the parties involved? Because number one, Kranky, for example, number one, who are the members of the Congress and who are the members of the board that signs off on whichever organization is an affiliate?
Well, we may not have all the information, CC. I'm sure they're out there. I've seen the names, but I don't remember what they are. But does it really matter? I mean, both Raymond knows who they are, and Ricketts knows who they are, and they're the opposition and the.
But I'm saying the person, La Cosa Nostra means our thing. Our thing, it means Jairus. So this is our thing. You understand? We should not get outsiders involved. That's what it means, my boss. It is our thing. We should not get outsiders involved. Keep it in the family. But anyway, I digress. What I'm saying is, Kranky, the people that are involved in the process, because I heard a soundbite from Mr. Speed, right? The soundbite is saying, if it goes back to the board, he is confident that 2/3 of the board will vote for the current organization to be in, and 2/3 will vote for the organization that wants to be in to not be affiliated. So if somebody can give you a concrete thing that they're saying, they can confidently say that will happen if it goes back to the board. This team have no chance of being affiliated. Then that simply means that some of these persons who are part of the board and some of these persons who are part of the Congress are a part of the team that is running in the election.
Right. So CC, Jamaica is set up in this way, which is everybody's conflicted. So I don't have the list of grievances that's been espoused or put forth by the opposition, but quite a bit of them were about the conflicts in place. I had it someplace, I wrote it down. I'm trying to find it. The conflicts, they mentioned a number of conflicts as part of their grievances, along with the, I don't think they mentioned, I can't remember they mentioned the football, I can't recall if they mentioned the beach football as part of it. I'm not sure they did actually. But they have a lot of grievances that they've expressed that they're concerned about that should disqualify certain parties. And if you look at, somebody need to mute their, please, Brian, please mute your phone, please. There's some duppy show now. And if you, I'm losing my train of thought, frankly. I'm afraid of duppy. But CC, the fact of the matter is, no matter how you spin this and run this, the fact is not helping the football, right? It's not. So I'd agree with Carl. I'm gonna say this again, Carl, so I can remember the name, Carl, not Kyle, that on the surface, this seems easily solved. If you dig beneath and see where we're going as an organization, direction of travel, it's probably one of the most difficult things to solve. Because I'm sure that this was set up so the incumbent could win. I'm almost sure. I don't have any evidence, but I'm almost sure. Because it was interesting that the Constitution, which Neil was talking to, here's how the JFF operates, which is very disturbing. They'll have a Constitution out there for people to see, and then when it's gets scrutinized, they put it down. Just like they did with the financial statements when I started to review them, all of a sudden they disappear. And then Rudolph says, you can go get it from FIFA. You can go FIFA website and search 100 times. It doesn't matter, you can't find it, which is disingenuous, frankly. So if anyone who has any expertise in any discipline starts scrutinizing what they have done, it just disappears like magic. And so you can see they're not transparent, no matter what they tell you. They're not transparent. Now, we appreciate them coming on these platforms and communicate with us, but sometimes I think they're using us to get their point across. Not genuine, and disingenuous in a lot of ways, which is very disturbing. So we can change FIFA, CC, but what we can do is try to influence what's happening currently.
Yeah.
You get the whistle. You get the whistle. I don't understand this comment on Real Madrid. You're saying we can talk until the cow jump over the moon. That must be a very cow with a very strong legs. Moon word on the street is that all this was started because a mad had a mood swing like a lady. So how can he run over foot? If you say man, I don't even know what that means, but I'm not touching that. I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch any gender issues because I don't want to get myself in trouble because I have to go home and sleep at night. So I'm not touching any gender issues. So everybody want to run our football, the current incumbent and the person. You said man. I understand what you're saying, Helmut, but I'm not touching any gender thing. What I would say is that, look, Henderson have a right, like everybody else, to try to run the football. My concern is that there's so much at stake. Neither party would not give in, and they're going to run this thing into the ground, and they're not looking ahead to think about the implications of this and what it could mean. And we're all going to be frustrated if we can't watch any football and see our team and cheer on our team. What happened to Brian? He just came on and run off again. Madrid say it's Kranky. So yeah, Madrid, drop a super chat now, yeah, Madrid, man. Come on, man. Come on. But I understand what you're saying, yeah, Madrid. But you can say the mood swing without bringing gender into play. But I understand what you're saying. So you know what we need actually? Here's what we need, people. We need a show to go to the Constitution paragraph by paragraph. We need a show.
Kranky?
Yes, Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're gonna first need to be able to get the Constitution.
I know. Brian, may I drop my word, Brian? What do you mean I drop my word, Brian? May I drop my word? I drop my word. You know, you start out first talking about these things disappear. I would love a constitution just appear by magic, because it disappeared by magic, so magic can bring it back. So if you get the constitution, go through word by word to understand what the criteria are. Yes.
Yeah. That's important because, and I think a lot of the things, I don't know. I think based on the rhetoric that I've heard from a lot of people, I think the Constitution is not so clear and concise on some things, and so some important things, it seems, are open for interpretations. And like you were saying yesterday about the lawyers, I think it seems they all have a different interpretation based on their experience and understanding of, I guess, football and whatever. So I think that's probably causing a little bit of a challenge.
Right. So I'm gonna drop something tonight, and you guys are not gonna like me. So I'm gonna be like that lady. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'll be like that lady who brought the litigation. So here's why I think something can be litigated. And you guys will not agree with me, but I'm telling you, and this is easy. So you hear me getting real upset. I might won't like me saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You hear me getting real upset about the fact that we have a quota for our under 20 team. I won't spend a lot of time on this. I'm gonna give you an example. That can be litigated. And here is why. So a person who's an affiliate brought a lawsuit. You could bring a lawsuit and says, tell you what, the JFF obtains government money. The government provided JFF with money. That's not disputable. And assist them with funding. As far as I'm concerned, you could now say if the JFF provides JFF with money, and the JFF is being discriminatory by excluding a citizen from partaking in any activity where the government provides funding, then that entity should be subject to a lawsuit brought on behalf of such citizen. You could just use one person as your example to do it, to say they're discriminating against such citizen by excluding them from the team based on merit. I'm not a lawyer.
Kranky, I don't know if
hard to do.
I don't know if it's as easy as you're making it out to be, because
it is.
No. So hear me out. So this, I mean, a team is selected based on someone's opinion, because even though we're saying
Brian, stop, Brian. No, Brian, stop you right there. Stop right there.
Okay.
Harvard makes selection of students based on a bunch of criteria. Okay?
Yeah.
And no, this is not Jamaica, it's the US. Harvard used to select people based on a number of factors, including ethnicity, including financial situation, including were your parents or what government. They have a bunch of stuff they utilize. Alumni. The Supreme Court says you can't have affirmative action. That means you can't give professional treatment in your selection process. It's the same concept here.
What's going to stop them from doing that? Harvard, I'm talking about.
The Supreme Court said you can't do it, so they can't do it.
Yeah, but Kranky, I could, if Harvard could make the argument that they are selecting people who they think are able to pay their tuition fees, and so they're not selecting people who can't pay. Why is that discriminatory?
Brian, go read the case. It's discriminatory. You're excluding certain. You're excluding certain group. No, you're excluding people not based on merit, but by some criteria which is not deemed acceptable. You discriminate against them. We're discriminating against foreign guys. And we're going down this road tonight. I just give an example of how we could bring a litigation against the JFF because they take government money and they discriminate against a citizen of
but
Jamaica
but
because they were
Kranky,
born in Jamaica.
yeah, but Kranky, I could argue that if the JFF refused to take government money, it wouldn't make them any more any less efficient.
They have taken government money.
Yeah, but it's a minute amount that they get compared to what they need to operate.
Brian, we're not gonna. I'm telling you, Brian, we're not gonna. What do you want to talk about, Brian? Now, trust me, you're going into numbers and what's material. It's not about materiality. It's about process.
Yeah, but Kranky, I don't think
fairness. It's about fairness. Yes.
But Kranky, all right, okay. So in the English Premier League, they say you must have X amount of English-based players on your roster, right?
Right.
Do you agree that Arsenal, which is their team,
right.
I don't know what the quota amount is, but let's just say it's 10. So you have a squad of 30.
It's 8. No. It's 8. It's 8. Go ahead. It's 8.
Okay, so let's just say it's 8. So if you have a squad of 30 players, they are saying you must have 8 English-born players in your squad, correct?
Right.
You don't think Arsenal as a club, or maybe Man City as a club, could very well find 8 other players who are not English-born players that are better than the English-born players?
Sure, they could.
So don't you think that the English FA is being discriminatory in their actions? Because they are telling you must have 8 English-based players.
All right.
Okay.
All right. All right. Kranky, because I know we're not going to say about this, but all right. So I was in Jacksonville, right? I was in Jacksonville, and I know that what was being done, where I was concerned, personal experience was affirmative action. And some experience it both ways, where I was being put in a position to kind of prove to people that they are not about this whole affirmative action. And secondly, where that was done. So here's the problem, though, when it was done against me, and I felt like, there was a lot of racism that was at play, why I wasn't given. Here's the issue. At the end of the day, though the policy is wrong, which all of us agree that the policy for a quota is wrong, what we are saying is in the selection of player process, it's going to be almost impossible for you to prove that the reason why an individual was not selected is because of the quota. What we can say, all right, it is because you have a quota. And I am saying to you, they could say, no, if the player was good, we would have had them. We just don't think there's any more than 7 who was good enough. So what we have done is told them that we will look at them again in the second round. And we will look at, because over the process of time, they could use all the players. That's the point I was making. All of us agree that the policy is wrong. And the policy is wrong. Nobody agrees that the policy is right, Everybody is saying that, listen, the policy of quota is discriminatory. Fine. But when it comes on to individual selection, it's going to be very difficult for you to prove that the reason why Manning's son was not picked is because when they picked 7, you know why they didn't pick Manning's son? Is because them say a 7 and he would have been the 8th one. No, they are going to say no. If he was good enough, he would have been selected. He's not better. That is where I think they get it. Like, it's so hard to control it. That's my opinion, I think it's so hard to manage.
Right. So let me answer both of you. Let me answer Brian first. Hey, Brian, a lot of countries have this ability to protect. So Brian got on slippery slope. So let me slap Brian first. Wait. Let me respond to Brian first, Mannings, man. You can have it both ways. Then I come back to you, Mannings. So Brian, every country tries to protect their environment and one place of their national team. I hate to tell you this, Brian, but those 8 players are British citizens. They're afforded all the rights of British citizens. The country will want to protect its assets and protect its national team. That's why they have this policy in place. They're not discriminating against British citizens. They're discriminating against non-citizens, if you want to call it discrimination. They could say it's not discrimination because we're affording 20-something non-citizens to be part of this environment. So that's discrimination. We're affording more It's contrary to what JFF is doing, right? But they're not British citizens. They're saying British citizens or England citizens, what should we call it, can play for the national team. We're allowing them to play for the national team. We're encouraging them to play for the national team. You're confusing citizens who are all Jamaican, and I think what you guys are focused on is those born outside of Jamaica versus born in Jamaica, who are all citizens, versus in England, the players you're talking to are not British citizens. So the argument has fallacy in it. Back to management point that he's making about selection. The policy is flawed. That means everything that comes after that is flawed. The policy, which informs the selection and the selection process, is flawed. If I get rid of the policy, then John Wall can go pick people just based on merit and have to worry about some selection. So you can say yes.
But Kranky, you know that I hear you. I don't necessarily agree, but I understand what you're saying. But you know that this same policy that you have an issue with, last under 20 championship that was qualifiers that were played, the team had more than 7 overseas-based Jamaicans playing. In fact, to put it further, 2 overseas-based Jamaican players were selected ahead of a locally based Jamaican kid who all of us, or many of us, agree or think that should have been in that team based on merit.
Right. So there, and Brian, we got to be transparent here. We know there are conflict in Jamaican society sometimes why certain players don't play national team. It may not have nothing to do with merit or selection. It has nothing to do with the foreign-based players. And in fact, there were some foreign-based players who weren't excluded, where everyone was asking why were they excluded, and they were giving some cockamamie reason as to why they were excluded. So let's play it fair. Secondly, Brian, and you talk about the numbers. Because you select more than the number that was there, doesn't mean you're not discriminating against others. Because this is about the individual, not the collective.
Yeah, but Kranky,
wait, Brian, when I finish, you can speak. If I am Kranky and I'm going for the national team, and I was discriminated against, it's all about me, not Brian, who was selected, who was overseas born, or Manning's man. It's about me. I am Kranky. I want to play for the national team. So you discriminate against me. I don't care about the other players. I'm thinking about me.
Yeah, but Kranky,
I don't want to be sacrificed for the collective.
So Kranky,
hold on, Mannings. Let me just answer this. So Kranky, let me tell you, I don't necessarily agree with the quota rule as a general, but I have seen there have been instances, because remember, Mr. Speed is saying that if the coach finds other players who he deems are at a higher level than, let's just say, local players, then he could justify it and say and give his reason, and they would either agree or not. However, I think too you have to look on it on both sides, because there have been times, when, like Mr. Speed said, you have players who just make the national team because they're from overseas, and it has nothing to do with their talent or not. And they are saying, as a means to avoid that, they brought in this quota rule. I don't know if the quota rule is the best thing because you could still have a player who is in the 7 that is not as good as any other player, but he falls in the 7. So I don't know if the quota rule is the right rule that should have been implemented to avoid that. But I kind of understand where they are coming from too.
Here's the issue, what I'm saying, Kranky. Because you use the word flawed. So if I say this thing is wrong, caller, just hold on, caller. I say it is wrong, and I don't agree with it. It is flawed. And I agree with you that once it is flawed, anything they do, if they select 20 players from overseas, it doesn't mean it is not flawed. So if going ahead, they keep on selecting 20 players, all play in England, because it says quota, right? Let us agree that it is flawed. Even if 20 of the players in the 20-team squad for the next 20 years are all from England, because there's a rule that says it is flawed, because there's discrimination in it, right? We all agree on that. What I will say to you, though, is this. When a player is not selected, the coach doesn't say, I am not selecting you because we have a quota. I know you're better than all the other players, but I'm not going to select you. What will happen? There was a player, for example, who was told, listen, you are very good going forward. You don't provide enough for us defensively. I think this was the under 17 team. And that was one of the reasons given for one of the players. You are going to have to prove now, you and I will have to prove, okay, you and I have to prove like the reason why this player was not selected, it had nothing to do with what a coach observed, but it was because if he was selected, it would make the number 8 and they already plan on only using 7. That's the point I am making. It's hard to prove, but we can all say that the thing is flawed, and so whatever you do after that, it makes it corrupt. But if you were to take this election case by case, it can't prove it because it's going to be your words against the coach. Because what you are looking for, because you and I may think like the man at Chelsea, we know that the man at Chelsea or at Arsenal is better than the man playing at Mount Pleasant. You know? The coach may say, no, when me see this man, you understand me? When me see this man better. I'm telling you.
So management, let me just respond to you by saying this. A couple of things. One is, Rudolph said, if you select more than 7, you have to justify it. Let me repeat, people, because we're not listening, you know, and we're not digesting this. I'm John Wall. I go out and do my research, and I come back and I say, here are 10 foreign players. And he's saying, anything over 7, you have to justify. You have to justify for these citizens, but you have to justify these other citizens because they're born in Jamaica. So if you select a Jamaican players, you don't have to justify them that you select over any number because we're fine with it. You have to justify where you select a citizen. Do we understand that argument? That it makes any sense?
But Kranky, what I'm saying though is that you are saying we are saying to you we agree. I am saying to you I agree with you that it is wrong.
But you guys are going to the minutiae of selection process, and I'm saying, but the structure, but all the parts is wrong now. I have to justify after I made my decision.
No.
Why I select over 7?
No, I am right, and that is wrong, Kranky. What I am saying to you, Kranky, you and I cannot prove unless John Wall comes out and says the reason why I didn't have the other players you're asking about is because I stuck to the quota. You and I can always say after the team has been selected, this player was not selected because of the quota. You can talk to John Wall, and John Wall will say to you, no, I didn't believe the player is good enough. Which one of those statements is true? That's all I'm saying.
But I understand you saying management. Guys, trust me, I get this. When you guys are going down the road, I want to go back up top. I want to say the policy.
Can I get 2 cents before you guys continue, please?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Kranky. Like, I have to agree with you 1,000% that this quota system is like it's like I would say a fraud. Cause look at it this year, right? Different rules apply to players based on where they were born. For example, right, Mr. Speed said, if you're gonna pick a guy from overseas, you gotta explain why you pick him, right? But if you're gonna pick a guy from Jamaica that is overweight, you don't have to explain why you pick an overweight guy from Jamaica. So to me, it just like it like this is like some of the things which we should be ashamed of, like literally, like, you know, it's embarrassing to even talk about it.
Yeah, no, look, I understand what Manza and Brian are saying about the selection process. And look, let's extrapolate this and think about it in Jamaica itself. So when you have, say, 7 Cabarets players being picked and six from Phoenix Academy, is everyone comfortable with that? Really? And people say, I hear people say today, oh, it's fine because they may be good enough. How do we get there?
Oh, crap.
You tell me all the other players who are playing. Wait, let me say this, man.
People said that today.
Yeah, not on another program. Trust me, they've said. Some people say they're comfortable with that. Let me just say this though, which is, so you have surveyed all of Jamaica, you've looked at all the talent, and if that's the case, you have done so and it works. But if the other people playing in the JPL, for example, tell me all the Cabernet players are better than all of them, and all the Phoenix players are better than all of them, really? Is that fair? I'm not just beating on the where you were born situation and the quota, you know. I'm beating on the entirety of the process. We want meritocracy to prevail. I live my life like that. The best person for the job. Except in the US, and this is me being, it's not hypocritical, where you have been disadvantaged for centuries and somebody got a head start of you of 100 yards and you have no chance to catch up. Society of them to find a way to make that happen. We don't have that in this situation. What we have is an establishment that's not invested as they should, and therefore that's why the local players may not be at this situation where the overseas players are.
I'm going to give you a good example. Do you know that in the 1998 World Cup squad, there are several players who came from the USA at different times to be a part of the 1998 squad, who were not selected by René Simoes. You know what a lot of them believe? That it was the World Cup squad that was being selected, or the campaign was about promoting local Jamaican players because they believe that they were better. René Simoes as a coach, because at that time, you know, there was an emphasis on playing local players in the national team. If we go back to even when Carl Brown was there. So there was that in the national team. Even after that, we saw that. But here's what happened. When Simoes did it, you cannot say to Simoes that the reason why some of these players were not selected was because they were in America or they were American citizens. Because he said to you, he selected the better players. That is where you and I have to agree that at the end of the day, John Wall would need to come out and say, listen, I had some other players that I wanted and I was not allowed to. Then we can know that it was the enforcement, which is the word I had a problem with, the enforcement of the quota rule. Because John Wall could only pick 5 of all the players and not go up to 7. Is it then the quota that would be working? What if John Wall only selects 3 players from England in the 23-man squad? Is that the quota working, or is it based on quality?
I think John Wallace comes and says, I don't want to say what John Wallace said, but John Wallace said a lot, man. You and I know this.
Yeah, but money's one. Yeah, but Kranky.
What he says doesn't lie to what you're saying. So go ahead. Yeah.
You know, one thing that I heard, I think Mr. Speed said it. He said that there are only, of the list of players that I guess he has seen or heard of, there are only 4 players in there that have passport.
I don't buy that.
No. Speedy just make an excuse as to what he's talking
Hold
about.
on,
He's a quota system.
And they don't seem, the JFF, it doesn't seem too keen on wanting to assist. And wanting to assist anyone to get any passport based on what I'm seeing. So maybe they don't have to necessarily lose a quota. Them can just say, well, them don't have no passport.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jamaica can do what he wants to do. Jamaica think that Jamaicans who live in Jamaica think they're the only ones who are Jamaican.
Anyway, Kranky, see a comment on the.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Jamaicans who live in Jamaica think they're the only real Jamaican.
You know what is funny, Kranky? You know that for many years in Jamaica, and even now, you know that many people are even upset because I will tell you this. Do you know that under 17 team was selected and an under 15 team, and none of the players are from Western Jamaica? I cannot. Over the years, Western Jamaica in particular have always felt like they produce some of the best footballers, but they have always gone through, they felt like the powers that be never gave Western Jamaica footballers an opportunity. I'm going to give you a good example. There's a Russies team that had Fogarty, Ainsworth Carr, Loxley Reed, I think Andrew O'Connor may have been on it, Socrates Christie. Those guys they won everything. I think they won everything from Olivier Shield, every single thing. All right? And people have always said, why those guys couldn't cement a place in teams, in national teams? So is it really, while I don't agree with the ruling, there are other factors I think that interfere in the process of selection. And it has plagued our football for many years. And I think, to me, that is the biggest thing that needs to be dealt with. I mean,
look, Mannings, I think you and Brian been focused on the selection process, and since I grew up in Jamaica, that whole that town versus country, that Western versus Kingston and St. Andrew has been in existence, and apparently it's still there, which is sad and show you how myopic the view in Jamaica is, and how the lack of transparency, the lack of thought, the lack of strategic thinking affects the island, not only in football, but in other disciplines and other areas.
Yeah.
It's really sad, actually. And you're right, it does happen all the time. You heard me talking to the leader at one point about some of these things. And when you try to press leader about scouting, you start backtracking as fast as you know what, right? Because there's nobody scouting in Western Jamaica.
There you go.
Oh, that's not my territory. That's not my territory. Oh, no, I can't touch it. Because you have no stuff, because you don't care. All you guys care about is Kingston and St. Andrew. And you may drop in some St. Catherine and a few more that's close to the Kingston. That's it. Don't care about no Western Jamaica. That process is flawed.
That's what I said. The whole process is flawed, Kranky. Yeah. So the point I'm making that if this is a sentiment in two parishes, can you understand the sentiment then? If it is a next country that they are coming from?
No. Look, people think I don't understand it.
People undermine it, Like it's a joke. It's a serious problem. But go ahead.
No, I do agree, Mannings, but I think it goes to, will any administration change this? Right. So Brandon is saying here that here's this interesting comment he made, which I've often thought about, Brandon. I know they make a comment without thinking about these things, As an auditor, I always think about the opposite side of the equation. This is what I do for a living, which is, couldn't you say Jamaican youth have been deprived of the footballing resources that the overseas counterparts have access to, and such this form of action is needed? So let's use that, which is a stretch on your part, Branda. Who is depriving them of these resources? Who is depriving them? In the US, it was the majority who did this, and so the majority need to sacrifice themselves for the minority to allow them to catch up, both resource-wise and in academia and other places. Who is depriving these persons of such resources? I don't see them being deprived. And by the way, do we not have the resources to enable them to develop? Or is it neglect on those who are making the decision why the kids haven't gotten there? Isn't that the JFF responsibility to make sure we have good training program, good coaches, work with the government to get infrastructure? So the people who are making these rules are the ones responsible for the situation we're in. Now, I'm not going to say that Jamaica has unlimited resources that can be afforded to them like the overseas, more industrialized countries, but the JFA is one of the primary culprits, which they're trying to rectify to give them some credit, given what Speed and others are doing to change the situation. But they own it. So I don't see affirmative action needed here, because those kids who are citizens shouldn't be deprived, even though Mannings and Brian are beating me to tell me that the selection process is not as transparent, and therefore you could still circumvent the rule, even though they have the policy. My view is that's why I love independent coaches who are not Jamaicans and who view is only to win, because that's how they judge and compensated. So John Wall will not select players unless he's conflicted, which I'm now hearing that he is, which is it's amazing. Only conflict overseas people come and conflict them enough. Only can bring them into the equation and conflict them. I don't know if he is. I'm having any aspersions on him. But the view is, if I'm John Wall, if I'm Halgrinson, my record is going to be judged on wins and losses, not on who is local or who is not local. And as such, I'm going to select the best players based on meritocracy for my team, because I want to win. Now, if his best team is all local players, I'm fine with that, so long as he's given autonomy and he's objective in selection process. But if his best team is all overseas born players, I'm fine with that too, because he's been given autonomy based on his contract to select the team. Speed says we have no input in the selection process. I don't touch it. But you do by default, because you're telling him he's restricted from selecting a certain number of overseas players, born players, who may be better than the ones that you think should be national team. So by default, you're embedded yourself in the selection process, which is not fair because you're tying John Wall's hands.
Yeah,
Now,
Kranky,
Brian,
I agree with you that. Well, I'm not even the tire on section, but I think the committee, by virtue of them being the one, because they are saying that John Wall will have to come to the committee and justify selection. So when him come, they may very well say, because it's not a guarantee that when him come and say, I have this player and I think he's better than this player, they will agree. They may very well say, no, I don't agree, and no, I'm not granting you this 8th, 9th, or 10th player, if so be the case. So I think, and that's the thing, you know. I don't know if there can be an independent entity that is going to scrutinize these players when he bring them come. So that's why I would conclude by saying
Brian.
That's why I would
It doesn't
conclude.
matter, Brian. No, Brian, it doesn't matter. Here's what he said: you get 7 slots. Anything over 7, I and my committee will decide whether or not you should select that player. And by the way, God bless, it's $3.85 an hour. But go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so that's why
that's not Jamaican dollars, by the way. Go ahead.
And I'm saying, I don't know if they could find an independent committee who people will not say is conflicted to carry out this task, which means that I think they should just do away with this whole thing to begin with. But I do agree, Kranky, that in the past, there have been persons who have been affiliated with the JFF or have been affiliated with the selection process who have benefited financially and otherwise for getting players who are not as talented from overseas into the national programs. But again, that comes down to the JFF and them always employing coaches that can be easily conflicted. So
yes. So here's the point I want to make on this. Yeah, here's the point I'm making on this, which is this: people, you know, part of what I view about YouTube is that my hope is that YouTubers who have a moral compass, who wants to do the right thing, we're trying to influence behavior in our society. Right? What do I mean like that? Like the whole, you know, nepotism conflicts are inherent in any human society, but some societies put measures in place to help to mitigate this. They can't eliminate it. They want to reduce it as much as possible. So levels are important. But when the society is built upon this, which I think Jamaica is in a sense, it's not okay. Because then fairness goes out the window. Objectivity and meritocracy goes out the window. And then your society get disadvantaged. So here's my frustration in life. There are a lot of kids who are poor, who grew up destitute and poor, but they're really talented, but they never get the opportunity to really maximize their potential. And the world loses. Not just Jamaica, the world loses. And that's unfair to those kids. And we as a people have to come together to find a way to help make sure that the society it can't be pure and perfect because we're a human being, but we do our best to make it as fair as possible. And as a people who have been disenfranchised, taken disadvantage of, we should be trying to do the opposite. We should not be advocating for or turn a blind eye to this situation. It's just not fair. And I told management like this today, which is, I get really upset when I see things which I deem to be unfair. I'm far from being perfect. I'm not going to say I am. I may have some things which may be critical in terms of how I operate, but I try to minimize those as much as possible. And people in my workplace can tell you this. I see color, but I'm blind to color. You look at my team that I have, I come to my teams are always very diverse by design, but by the concept of meritocracy. Meaning, I want to look good in my job, so I'm going to select the best person for the job, not because they may look like somebody else or look like me or whatever. I'm trying to curry favor. That's important in life. And when you have a situation people get discriminated against because of their financial situation, from a certain class or a certain economic status or they're not from Western or Eastern or Southern. That can't be right in life. And if we want a really good society that we live in, and we want to be treated fairly, then we have to advocate for these things. And if you hear me getting really emotive about the fact that we're disadvantaged kids who are born out of Jamaica, because I don't view Jamaica as the Rock. I want Jamaica to be a larger Jamaica, which can only help people on the Rock. Because frankly, people who are not on the Rock, most times, on average, not individually, but on average, have more resources than those on the Rock. So if that collective function together, that's a great thing. I'm going to give you an example. One of the first person killed in the Hamas-Israeli war was from Virginia in the US. You know why? Because they operate as one community. They're dual citizens. A lot of them are trained in the Israeli army, over there, the Americans. They function as one, right? Because they feel like there's a disadvantaged people who have had a difficult time over whatever years they are, especially in World War II, and they operate as one. So why we as Jamaicans can't operate as one? It's very frustrating to me to see how we are trying to disenfranchise each other. We're not treating each other fairly. We say we're citizens, but you're a partial citizen because you didn't born in Iraq. Those things are ridiculous. I don't want to be preaching to people, but I just find these things frustrating, inappropriate, and I'm always going to be against them, and I'm always going to espouse my views, and I will never shut up until I see fairness. So I'm going to be a slave for fairness, and if that people don't like that, then tough. And I'm not always right, but I'm having an argument, and I think I try to make sure my argument have substance to them, and I'm sure that there'll be others who have better arguments than I do, and I'll have to acquiesce. But as it stands now, I'm going to go back to the quota thing, which seemed to take over the last hour of this discussion. I'm not buying it. And I understand what man and Brian are saying about the process about selection, but we're going to the minutiae of the process versus going from the top, which is the policy, the communication to the coaching staff, the way we operate. That can't be right. I don't care what speed we're talking about, you got to justify. You have to justify being a citizen. We should be complaining about other countries treating us a certain way. We shouldn't be treating each other this way. But anyway, I'm going to go back to what we go on, Brian.
Yeah, Kranky. And just to finish, you know what I find quite strange, because even this list of under 20 players, John Wall was on management program, and he was at the press conference highlighting the fact that we need players who have professional minutes, etc., etc. And then I see a squad listed where a number of these players have no professional minutes or have a minute amount. And when I say minute, I'm talking less than 90 minutes at our semi-professional level. And he was also alluding to the fact that our semi-professional league, you need to have twice the amount of minutes to equate to that of a professional level. And when I saw from that list, you had a bunch of players on it who aren't even playing in or have professional minutes. So the whole thing just seems strange, if you ask me.
Yeah, look, I mean, maybe somebody got to walk, because he mentioned before about not having any local players or very few who could be in the team, and now he so much changed his stance because he realized the quota is 7. And DW, you can't differentiate people because of where they were born when no one's discriminated against them. If you have 24 based players, they're not disenfranchising local players. No one's taking away those local players' rights and privileges. What they're doing is picking a meritocracy. If you're picking someone in meritocracy, you're not disenfranchising them. What they need to do is get better so they can be picked. So we're confusing the word disenfranchise. Please look it up. It's not disenfranchising a player because you decided that they weren't good enough to be in the team when they truly aren't good enough. And it's up to the coaches to make that determination, and they should be given a free rein to do so. But Brian, I don't disagree with you. It's very disturbing what has resulted from what John Wall has done versus what he came in this program and talked about, where he was interviewed by management, and I was part of that discussion. And all of a sudden, he's changed his tune. You know what he always made a statement? Someone has gotten to him. You ever in somebody of a position and they change, someone has gotten to them? Seems like someone has gotten to him. Someone has gotten to him. Someone's put in his ears that you want this job, you got to play ball. Which, you know what? I assume that's what happened. But we're going to go back to the whole, we digress from that whole. I have sort of pivoted and gone off a tangent about this whole thing and took on a life of its own. Back to the whole
I was thinking, Like, I think I need to do some research on this whole normalization thing. But I mean, even after today, I was of the thought that I don't know, could it be that wrong? Because I mean, I think what has led to us gotten to this place now is for too long our footballing leaders have felt as if they could do anything, operate anyway without any consequence to their actions. And I think that's what have led us to this point. I mean, maybe this point is the pinnacle of it. But even when you look at how the situation that occurred with the reggae girls and the World Cup players saying that they're not coming to play and the whole 9 yard, I think it's just um, a broader picture of the state that our football is in. Because I mean, I was listening to you and Management speaking to Dennis, and he just couldn't get when you were saying to him, Dennis, why can't you pick up the phone? You should have the information for all 23 players who are in the World Cup squad and call them, and it wouldn't even take an hour. Pick up the phone to call them or send them a WhatsApp message or something to say, hey, we've paid you $5. Please confirm if you have gotten $5 or not. As opposed to sending an email to Fifth Pro, who sometimes don't respond because of time zone issues, or when Fifth Pro gets an email, they have to reach out to 3 players who then have to go and communicate with 20 other players to tell them that this is what Fifth Pro is saying. And like, I was taken aback at the fact that he couldn't seem to understand or to get that point that you were making. And then with this whole debacle now, it just it just highlights the position in which the football is in and the people who operate it. So I don't know if it would be such a bad thing for a situation to be where FIFA, well, I don't know if FIFA will step in, but some action is taken that will either remove these people or highlight to them that there are real consequences to the way they operate.
Yeah, Brian, I think I am on the same page as you. It actually was amazing to me the level of distrust between the two sets of parties. They're like oil and water. And Dennis would come here and say that, oh, everything is okay. We're working through it. And if you ask what's the temperature like in the room, he's like, oh, it's okay. When I view this as almost, and this is going to sound extreme on my part, almost hate in the room. If you hear other girls talk, and you hear some of the JFF members talk, and I go back to that lady who was kicked off the bus, where I got a lot of my information from when I conceive this thing and think about it, they don't even want to engage each other. They do it because they don't have a choice in a sense. And part of it, if it wasn't for public pressure, they wouldn't engage each other. They just wouldn't. There is so much distrust, and I would go even to the point of dislike amongst the parties. There's no way they want to get together.
Yeah, and because when you were talking to Speed and even Dennis, and you were mentioning the interview with the Grenada president, and I was reflecting back on that interview because I did watch it, and I'm saying here's a president of an association who, by its own measure of success, is far less than Jamaica, that can look at his players, have a conversation with them without any agent or without any, what you call them, intermediary, to say, hey, we're inviting him to come and play for the country, but we can't pay you. And this is the reason why we can't pay you, and here's the proof that we can't pay you. And if you want to come, good, we accept you. And if you don't want to come, we understand, and it will not be held against you. I mean, and I'm saying we have a group of players, and by and large, the senior reggae boys are all professional football players. I don't see any difficulty with them sitting in the room to explain to them that this is the situation, here's the proof, make a decision. Equally, the reggae girls, they have attained a level of success, and I don't see what the difficulty is in saying to them, hey, we know we got to pay you this money, but we cannot pay you this money now because we are in debt, and we are trying to balance the income that we get to pay current bills as well as to also pay off debt that was owed for a long time ago that, you know, maybe some of you have never been a part of incurring, and we want you to make a sacrifice for us or for the country, and this is how we are going to go about it. I don't know what was so difficult about having that conversation, and for some reason, the people in the JFF, I guess, don't think that they need to do that or they should do that. And I think sometimes you may be in a position of power or strength as you think, but taking a soft approach is not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, here's the thing people don't realize. You see, when you're in a position of power and you know you have the power and you know you have the autonomy to act, you can afford to accuracy now because you know you control the power. You know the one in the authority. You know you control the decision, the ultimate decision. That's where you can give in, you know. Doesn't mean the other person, you're giving them, you accuracy in somewhat, but you know you control the situation. When you don't, you're not the one in control then. Or you may be, you're overexerting your power and you're not managing your power well. When you're in control, you don't have to tell people you're in control now. They know. You got to figure out how to work with them to get a good resolution. And I understand the players want to get paid, even if they make a lot of money, because the normal history of Jamaica is this, is that, I give you track and field, for example, and I have a friend who told me this. When you weren't allowed to be a professional as a track and field athlete, they would go to events and they would make money. And the administration would take all the money. So the amateurs didn't get paid. They only run for the joy of it or to promote themselves. So you can understand the distrust between administration and players. But as you're saying, which is, where is the transparency to say, I made $10, but my bill is $15. I'm $5 behind. I'm going to create a situation where I owe you. So basically, I have a debt. I walk you through the situation. You get a choice to decide whether you come to play or not. And I will admit, before, I thought people played for the national team just because of the pride of it, not for the money. The money was just an ancillary additional benefit. I can understand some people saying, no, we're not doing that because the administration make money so we should get a fair share. I'm totally agree with that. But I didn't think the primary reason you play for your national team is for money. I thought it was more patriotism, pride, your pleasure at giving other people pleasure based on your performance. You want to build your brand. I didn't know it was a money issue. And don't misquote me. I'm not saying you shouldn't get paid if your services, if there's compensation for your services to the administration, there should be a trickle-down effect. And you have a contract with the administration, they should pay you what you owe. But if they can't afford to pay you, just like they can't afford to pay their creditors, there should be a workout situation where it's transparent to everyone. You work out how much you're owed, when you can be paid, what the situation is, and hope that changes. And you know, I got to go up the conversation with someone today, which is like this. Jamaica is doing so well. The girls made a lot of money for the JFF this year and for themselves. The boys made a lot of money for the JFF this year and for themselves. The money made by the boys and the girls will help to put the JFF in a really good financial situation. I'm quoting Rudolph. I'm not quoting him, I'm paraphrasing him. If they assumed a debt of 300 million Jamaican, which I assume is about, don't quote me wrong, I know the foreign currency exchange say 1.5 million US Jamaican. They have paid down 2/3 of that debt. That means I would expect them to owe about $500,000 between what they're getting for Copa America and Nations League should pay off that debt. So they should not be in the hole. In fact, they should be not in a hole or being arrears. They should be able to pay off the debt, pay off the players, pay everybody they owe, and have a surplus. And hopefully they can manage that surplus prudently to allow them to function, operate, and not operate in the hole going forward. Meaning operate in a prudent manner where you can satisfy their expenditures and have some left over for other activities, including investing in the football. And that's why I say I get concerned when the JFF take away their financial statements and nobody else can see them. They hide their constitution so no one can see it. So everything can be camouflaged. They tell us they're not a public organization. They're a pseudo-private organization. So even though we're stakeholders, we're not stakeholders. And we can't tell them what to do. And the FIFA can tell them what to do. That's just not the way to operate. And then they tell us in their manifesto, they want to engage the diaspora to get resources. But they don't, but they want to have a quota. But anyway, I digress. So the point I'm trying to make people is this, is that we all want the football and the football to go well. We want the players to be treated fairly. We want them to be compensated when they provide their services. We want to go to the game. Well, let me manage that one because in the Nagano games, I'm going to talk Patwa. When I have some fear with a fan, just talk football and watch Paramount and ESPN when game come on. We need to go to the games and support the players because they love when we're there. And I can tell you, when I was in Orlando, when we had COVID and went to the Gold Cup, the players were very appreciative. They came over to the fans, the few that were there, by the way. They signed autograph. They engaged them. They cheered. They were so pleased, even though a small number being there. And I'm sure if you guys come out and support them, it'd be even more appreciated. There's nothing like playing football and hear the crowd cheering you. Nothing like it. It gives you energy. It boosts you. So the fans need to do a better job of supporting the players. We need to get the administration right. And right now, I'm going to say that Jamaica ain't look good. Don't look good at all. So Press is saying, let me ask you, Press said, Kranky, so the rest of the football countries, Indian Football Federation business. You know the funny thing about that, Travis? I have some friends in England. They don't care about England team, They don't give a darn about England team. All they want to focus on is the Man U and the Arsenal. They complain when the players go to the England team and get hurt. They support the England team when they go play at tournaments. But apart from that during the year, they're not into it. They only have an England team when it's selection time. They don't have a 360 election team, England team situation when they're not playing. They only focus on it when they're playing. At least the ones that I know that are my friends, which is really interesting. We very much focus on the national team and probably scrutinize them more, even though the scrutinization there is very intense when they get involved in it. But I do, they try nowadays. It wasn't like that historically in like the John Barnes days or in the Ian Wright days, but now they're trying to pick the best team out there because they're very focused on, they want to win. They haven't won a World Cup since 66? And they haven't won a Euro probably ever. So they want to win. So they're going to pick the best team. Like a lot of European, everybody nowadays, guys, think about this. You know how much diversity you have in the German team? You see diversity in the Spain team. You see diversity in the Italy team. You think they want to do that sometimes? They all want to win. That's why they're trying to pick the best players. Even when they have certain situations in their country where they find don't support certain races, they still want to pick the best team. They still put them in their team because all they want to do is win. That's all they focus on. They want bragging rights. They want the benefits that come with it. They focus on winning. And we're trying to deny citizens who look like us from playing. And that's why you see me get perturbed and upset. Let me take some more comments before I close down the show. Let me see if any more comments here. Any comments here before I close this down? And by the way, people, we only have 91 likes and we have 110 people. People starting to drop now because it's late in the chat. I'm going to do 5 more minutes. Hope management haven't gone to sleep. And you know what? I won't stop calling this the Kranky hour because I can't keep to my time. This hour turned into like, what did we start? Like 8:45? Turned into like 3 hours. God bless says, hey, Kranky, even makes us a brown guy. I'm telling you, God bless. They even playing an Argentinian in their team, right? They're born in Mexico. Everybody trying to win. If you're the best players, all they want to do is win. They're not thinking about where you're from or whatever. A lot of them want you to win. And a lot of them are recruiting overseas players, no matter what they say. Now, I agree, and I've said this numerous times, which is we are unique. A lot of countries don't export as many people as we do, or have the affiliation sometimes with their home country. I think Morocco, as a country, does, if you see their World Cup team. So they may not have the situation that we have, right? The industrialized countries don't export as many people as we do. We export a lot, a human capital, and so therefore would expect, and by the way, people, I've said this numerous times, that human capital send back real monetary capital to Jamaica. The same human capital you guys think are not real Jamaicans, they don't leave and forget. Not like in that reggae song that talk about you go far and you forget, whatever the song is, we can't remember it. They actually don't forget their family back home or their friends back home. They send money back, and it's a huge part of the GDP. So they want to knock the foreign people them, and if it be fear that the same one who left and have kids overseas are the same one who are very much supporting the country. Princess Julie, I thought you got on your bed. And thanks for the super chats tonight, by the way. She said, maybe we need to start over. Both sides consciously decided we need a new start because they could have negotiated and come to a compromise. Princess Jillian, you can't be Jamaican enough. You know Jamaicans stay. There's only one right person, and the person who think them right. They don't care about nothing else. The ability to compromise and negotiate is not in their DNA. And that's part of the big fallacy about some of these people. They don't understand you can catch more things with honey than you catch with whatever you want to call it. It don't work for them. They're much focused on winning at all costs and destroying the opposition. I mentioned this win-win to somebody in a conversation a while ago that I had a conversation on one of these forums on. It was a management show, and the person went off on me. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to engage with you anymore. But it left in my mind this concept. Some of these people are not exposed. Because they were really exposed, and in certain environment, they'd realize that compromise is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing if you can create win-win situation. Both parties walk away from the situation feeling good about themselves, versus one feeling really good and one really horrible. It's like winning and losing. It's got to be a win-win. And as Trevor's saying, yes, Trevor, the ego thing is out of control. The ego thing manifests itself with the girls and now with this situation. And it may destroy the football, and I hope not, because, we're at the best time, I've said before earlier in the conversation, in the history of Jamaica football. And we should all be thinking about how best we can ride this momentum into World Cup qualification. So people got to understand this, people. So we mentioned these names. If I'm Reese Nelson, if I'm Greenwood, if I am Gibbs White, if I'm Dwight McNeil, why would I want to come into this drama? What would encourage me to come into this drama? All this drama occurring, and me being affiliated with an organization who can't get their act together, and acting as if we're not civilized people, and we don't know how to compromise and negotiate and be patriots. And stop being parochial, and stop being selfish, and stop having these huge egos that is not necessarily needed, makes sense, or helping. Doesn't make any sense to me. So at some point, you hope that common sense prevail, even though I've always said if it common, I don't want it. But you hope common sense prevail, and that people make the best decision to have the best outcome. I understand both sides want to win, and I would agree that it has to be a fair process. So if there's a constitution which has been agreed upon by Raymond and the others, if it's a flawed constitution, it is what it is. We should abide by it and push for it to change. And not because it may not be satisfying someone now, they should have to destroy everything by going through the courts. Now, if the lady believed that, what's her name, whatever her name is, if she believes that right is on her side, then I think she should do what she needs to do to get the affiliation needed. Because if both sides speak, they're both confident of victory, and only one side can win. Right? If you talk to Speed, it's in the bag. If you talk to Dave Cameron, it's in the bag, which is really interesting. So, but my hope is that we can have the situation resolve itself, and it doesn't affect the competitions coming down the pipe. Because remember, people, we have no girls' competition in the Gold Cup this year that we can cheer them on because of the infighting. And we are running risk of I'm not going to mention under 20 because I'm still perturbed about quotas, of the Copa America and the Nations League at risk because of this infighting. And we're going to bring FIFA into play, which I'm not a FIFA supporter, and I don't trust FIFA, and that may not be good for us. So anyway, people, I must say this. I'm gonna sign up by saying, thanks for being here. I appreciate over 100 you still being online, even though it's 11:41. And I'll make sure before I go out, my name's man. Me hear nice in the background, like some. You want to call it Peeny Wally? And then Peeny Wally in the background. Peeny Wally in the background. I want to make sure that
I can tell you I've not been to Jamaica.
The sponsors get their due before we close out this program. Yeah, what are you saying? What is that?
I can tell that you haven't been in Jamaica in a long while. It's a long time. I don't hear no Peeny Wally. You need to take a visit down here, man.
You know what? It's funny. I've been there since 2019. You know much I love flying, right? And I went 2019, I think, for champs. I have been and I promise I'm going to go this year, actually. So I'll be in Jamaica this year.
Yeah.
I didn't fly anywhere during COVID. I cut my flighting since COVID, actually. So I'll be there this year.
They should have tried to keep champs around because it's Olympic year around the like close to the national trials. So you could what they call kill two birds with one stone. So you could come for
you know what my name's? Yeah, I talked to a friend of mine, right? And he's like, and I said, okay. He's giving me a hard time. He was a brilliant runner at champs, by the way. I won't say who it is, but brilliant runner at champs. I had a bunch of records before they got broken. So he and I talk, and he says, and he and another friend of mine who always go to all champs. I mean, I know them, they go to champs, and they go to Carifta, and they go to any World Youth Games. They just, like the person we know goes to Jamaica football games, that's them, right? So I'm like, come to champs this year, and they're like, yeah, you talk too much, you're not coming. And then I realized that champs coincide with the Nations League. So
yeah, we're way to do that.
I'm gonna get beaten for that because I'm not going to champs this year. And you know, my one of my schools always do okay, so it's always good to go there and cheer, actually. But I won't be able to make it this year. So unfortunately.
And Jason Guna let me know that whatever they have a Godfather rule, he says in FIFA. So if you qualify for a tournament, even if you're banned, they will still allow you to participate in what you have qualified for. What you
that's good.
So he's saying that you would still be able to play Nations League, but you wouldn't play the World Cup qualifiers, but you would play in the Copa America because you actually qualified for those.
Well, hopefully everything get resolved by then, man. So don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, man. Kranky, good show.
God bless you. Thanks for the previous super chats. We got a few super chats tonight, man. Decent ones too.
Yeah, very good.
Great brain drain. I don't know if he has a you know what it is? Those rappers have a coil of money and he just dished them out on all these shows, but he sure dished them out. So we appreciate brain drain.
You know what? It will be interesting to see you supporting Casey and brain drain supporting Calabar at champs. But AQ is going to boast though, Kranky.
How does he go to both? I thought champs was on the 20. When is champs?
See, he's put this is AQ, saying that you can go both Nation League and champs. So I
thought the Nation League semifinal the 21st.
If there's a way,
I don't think so.
AQ would know.
I don't think so because when I go to champs though, I don't go for one day. I go for the entire period, right?
Yeah, he goes
for
everything.
like 3 or 4 days.
He goes for everything.
But isn't champs? When is champs? I thought champs was like the 20s. What is it? 20. I can't remember the dates actually. I did look at the dates. I go to the 21st is the semifinal.
Oh, he said that football right? Thursday night and Friday and Saturday is champs.
Football Thursday night and Friday and Saturday is champs. No, you go champs for one day.
Oh, right.
You go champs for one day.
Yeah.
I don't fly. I management. I don't like fly that much, If me fly one time, I take a break to recover. So we can. I can't. That's why when I fly, I don't change planes when I fly. If I'm not flying direct, I'm not flying. Not happening. So yeah, it's a little bit challenging for me, but I would love to have gone this year actually, because I haven't gone in a few years. So
yeah.
Anyway, people, thanks for joining us. Yeah, thanks for joining us. We appreciate being here, and management will take us out.
Yeah, man. As usual, big thank you to Kranky. Very great show. You understand me? We're not. I like Kranky said, people. He's not going to talk about the quota, and he spent 1 hour discussing it.
That's you and Brian come on trying to defend it. You and Brian come trying to defend it. At least I was calmer tonight, right? But of course, with speed, as much calm, I think. I wasn't getting all carried away, emotive. My emotions were checked tonight. So yeah, that works.
Oh, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday. Oh yeah. He's saying that you can go Thursday night. Thursday is the football, so you can go Friday night and Saturday at Champs. Then fly back for the. And then fly back for the final.
My thing me like fly, man. You're crazy. That's not happening. No, I see what he's saying. I could go to football Thursday, fly out Friday, be at Champs Friday for Champs, Saturday for Champs, fly back Saturday night or because it's the game on.
Fly back Saturday. But you know, Kranky, I guarantee you that's what AQ is going to do.
I know. I'm not doing that. That's not me.
And he has, you know,
I do pen relays instead.
You know that he has a beautiful, you know, the new apartments right across from the National Stadium. So so he does his Airbnb there. Nice 2-bedroom. You can so I figure that it's already booked because a lot of people normally book those apartments next door to the stadium.
I don't have AQ money to be.
So you can actually stay there on the balcony and watch Champs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you have
where exactly are the apartments? It's not on the
when you come out of the stadium, you know when you come. No man, it's not. When you come out of the stadium, you have the Bob Marley statue. So if you're going up to what is that? Hope Road, Mountain View Avenue. If you're going up there on the left, normally they park cars over that. Yeah, there are some new apartments that they build out there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice. So a lot of people normally rent because most of them are used for Airbnb. But you know, people own. Okay. Yeah. So the people working.
But is that a nice area to be able Airbnb or just for Champs or sporting events?
No, it's a beautiful gated community because you're close to New Kingston. You know, up close to Sovereign, all of those places. So it's very central.
And it's not when I go to Jamaica, I normally stay at the Marriott Hotel down by Hero Circle area. So.
Okay.
Yeah, down New Kingston. Yeah. But no, that's a friend of mine though changed. He used to stay up in that area. He didn't love it actually. He's now the one I was telling you about. They stay down in New Kingston now. That's where they book for. Yeah. So, but it's too easy zone, right? So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, man. But good show.
All right.
I mean, there's no football no real Premier League football tomorrow, really. So.
No, there is football tomorrow. There are 2 games.
Yeah, well.
There are 2 games. I think doesn't Fulham play tomorrow? I think Manchester City play Newcastle tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, City play Newcastle tomorrow. I think in the morning.
Luton and Burnley had a very controversial game today with VAR.
Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chelsea play Fulham tomorrow at 7:30, and then 12:30 Newcastle play Manchester City.
Yeah.
And if you like NFL is in the evening. So
the playoffs, start tomorrow.
The playoffs start tomorrow. So anyway.
All right,
man. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Thanks for allowing me to spend an hour on the program.
God bless you. Arsenal lose tomorrow. Definitely God bless. Arsenal losing tomorrow. They're playing.
Arsenal lose tomorrow. We're playing in. We're playing what? Dubai. We have a practice match in Dubai tomorrow. So all you Arsenal haters, we're gonna lose tomorrow. We're gonna lose.
Well, that's Kranky. That's his show. I am management. This has been I Am Sure Sports. And when you get to this point of the show, we say we are over and we are OUT. We are out of here.
Watch about dog. SK New heard this. The body out there. Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Ocho Race, Galtigo Bay. Everywhere. I Am Sure Sports. Check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like? Yeah, someone on for the food from young, from where they knee height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.